Russia. Kobe.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
I think we got it. I think we got it. You know what? You know what? Push it again. It is a good morning, Lonzo.
Good morning.
Yeah, what the hell? One more. Do it. Why not?
Hey, Big Daddy. How you doing?
Yeah! Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate, and it is Friday.
Except for you, Germany. Forget you, Germany.
Except for Germany.
Whatever.
Germany is out. I don't know. Germany's out to get us.
Or
Germany's out
German
to get us.
DJs are out to get us, apparently. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. You don't know what the hell we're talking about. That's okay. It made us laugh. And that's ultimately the important thing. Hope that you are well. Hope you had a spectacular week this week out there in Sportslandia. My name is Rob Brown on the other side of the metaphorical glass. This AM, every AM. He is the guy in charge of this radio program, the next radio program, the previous radio program. If you change for whatever foolish reason, if you change your station, he'll be in charge of that radio program as well. Don't do that. Let's keep it right here on the Fan Upstate. He, of course, is the alpha and the omega of the Fan Upstate. He is the great one. Lonzo, what up, so?
Lonzo is a superstar.
I haven't played it in a while. Sometimes you need that positive affirmation, you know.
Nobody's perfect, but I am very, very close.
I get it.
Do you not see his grin in your head whenever he says, I'm not talking about your grin. I'm talking about Gunther's grin.
Yesterday evening, I sat in on BetMGM Tonight. Every Thursday, I do an interview with them. And it's usually baseball, but it's very, very frequently football. We were talking Combine and Jaden Daniels. Apparently, my guy, Nick, 1/3 of the host of that show, heard me say that I believe Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in this draft class. And apparently he did not like that take, much like Lonzo does it. I would like to say that Dan Orlovsky agrees with me. And if I got Dan Orlovsky on my side, I'm clearly doing it the right way.
How often is Dan right about his projections? I don't know. I was just curious.
Yeah, he's actually not that bad. Not that bad. There is another ESPN talking head that I am 100% going to make a run at today.
Hell yeah!
But not Orlovsky.
Woo!
I like Dano. Dan Orlovsky and I both agree Jaden Daniels is going to be the dude. So they brought me on. We were talking about that. We were talking about other things. And we got into the conversation about Major League Baseball's pants. If you haven't been following this story, don't worry. Just turn on any baseball game. Just turn on any baseball game because the players, you know what,
Hello, lady.
is blatantly obvious through these pants.
I was going to say, we covered that last week. I thought they fixed it. You know, after we talked about it, I thought they would have went, oh no, no, and then went and fixed it.
You'd have thought that Rob Manfred, big fan of the show, by the way, you'd have thought that Rob Manfred would have been like, oh, Rob and Lonzo have made excellent points. We should probably get on this pants thing, but alas, not yet. It is still a work in process. So we got to talking about this, and I made the point to Nick and Trista last night that unfortunately in 2024, it does not matter what industry you are in, but specifically if you are in the broadcasting world or sports world, there is nothing that is more important than your brand. There's nothing more important than your brand. It is the reason that whether we want to be or not, Lonzo and I are required to be on social media and to engage on social media because it is all about hashtag the brand. And so part of your brand is your look, how you present to the world. And my biggest takeaway was Major League Baseball knows that. They ain't no dummies. How do you not get the jerseys right? How do you get the pants wrong? How do you get the jerseys wrong? Because at the end of the day, if I am flipping channels and I come across a baseball game, it is quite literally, the first thing that you notice is the pant, is the jersey, is the players. It's the first thing you notice. So how do you get that wrong? And I said to Trista, I said, it's kind of like if I got on the air and I started saying my name incorrectly, right? If I got on the air and I was like, welcome in, it's the Rob Brune Show, it would be so distracting that you would not notice, and this is what I said to Trista, you would not notice that I'm not perfect, but I am very, very close. And Trista just looked into the camera with like a Jim Halpert from The Office look. Like, are you serious? And then I made the connection that like, that's an us joke. That's an us joke. That's a joke for here. That's a joke for us. But it made me laugh. And like I said, that's all that matters to me.
Hopefully it's not the last time you're on that show.
No, it's not. They love me.
All right.
They love me. So, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, children of all ages, the Fan Upstate proudly presents your two-time South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year, The Rob Brown Show. And we ain't hurting for content today, kids. Do you feel me?
Feel me? For real. Do you feel him, sir?
I do.
You saw me turn away and did that on purpose.
I was committed to the
Okay,
bit.
all right.
I was already committed to the bit. I was already engaged. All right, missiles were hot. Afterburner was on. There was no coming back.
Sorry, I was a little parched. I was going to get a drink, because didn't want to sound flimmy, and then you got me.
So, not hurting for content today on the radio broadcast. We have got an update on the potential for expansion to the college football playoffs to 14 teams. And I pointed out to you that it was likely that those 2 extra spots were going to go to the SEC in the Big Ten. Turns out, I know what I'm talking about. But I did miss something, and this was a wee bit shocking to me. 2 of those spots, those 2 extra spots, those 2 spots that take us from 12 to 14, those 2 spots are earmarked for the Southeastern Conference, are earmarked for the Big Ten. But wait, there's more. They are also going to earmark 1 more spot for the ACC, 1 more spot for the Big 12. So, what you will end up with in this case would be the top 3 SEC teams, the championship team, and then the next 2 highest rated teams. The top 3 teams in the Big Ten, the championship team, and the next 2 Big Ten teams. You would end up with your ACC champion and the next highest ranked ACC team, your Big 12 champion and the next highest ranked Big 12 team, your highest ranked group of 5 champion. Wait, one more caveat. If Notre Dame is ranked inside of the top 14, you would get them in an AQ position as well. Meaning that if Notre Dame is a top 14 team at the conclusion of the season, then we would have 11 playoff spots between champions and AQs, and you would have 3 at-large spots. You would end up with 3 at-large positions. You would end up with Notre Dame, 3 from the SEC, 3 from the Big Ten, 2 from the ACC, 2 from the Big 12. There's your 11. How do we feel about that?
America.
I'm up in the air. Because on one hand, I am, I guess happy. I guess I'm happy for the ACC and the Big 12. I guess I'm happy for those two conferences, that those two conferences got some auto placement, that both of those conferences did pick up an AQ spot, that both of those conferences don't have to go, we send one, you send one. The Big 10 and the Big 12 get to send 3. Like, I guess I'm happy for the ACC and for the Big 12 there. I guess you feel about Notre Dame the same way you feel about the sentence, college football's better when Notre Dame is good.
Why doesn't the Pac-12 get 2? Because then the entire Pac-12 would be in it.
Is Washington State and Oregon State just cancel their season? Go bowling, boys! They are, bless their hearts, trying their best. They really are. The new commissioner of the Pac-12, because they have one of those, Teresa Gould, said yesterday that they are exploring all avenues when it comes to the potential for expansion. And by the move to expansion, what I mean is to survive. So the Pac-12 is going to have to fight for those either 3 or 4 annual at-large bids. Lonzo, I guess this is what it comes down for me. 3 or 4 at-large bids, keeping in mind that you've got the SEC with 3, the Big 10 with 3, the ACC with 2, the Big 12 with 2, the group of 5 with 1, and if Notre Dame's in the top 14, Notre Dame gets 1. Are we good with the rest of college football having to share either 3 or 4, keeping in mind that they are at-large bids, which means that the Southeastern Conference can still have a team be awarded an at-large bid. The Big 10 can still have a team be awarded an at-large bid. So the rest of college football has to compete for 3 or 4 at-large bids and compete with teams in conferences that already have 2 or 3 automatic qualifiers. Are we good with that?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Not a Big 10 guy, Lonzo.
Yes, I'm fine with it. People are going to be upset no matter what. So if there are advantages to something I pull for, then I guess I'm okay with it. I mean, how do you fix it? It's not going to be perfect the first couple of years. And it may be even worse after that. Who knows? Or they could go, yeah, we need to fix this. We need to fix this. I mean, you could try to fix it before it happens, but why do that? I mean, let's see how things play. We don't know how the season's going to play out. A lot of those teams that you think are going to be the best teams and make the playoffs right now, as we sit here in March, may not make it. So, I mean, let's wait and see how it plays out. And they still have time to tweak it a little bit, right?
Yeah, because the earliest this would go into play appears to be 2025. And there are some people that think it may not happen until 2026. Right now, the college football playoff contract runs through the end of next season, not this upcoming season, the season after that. And there are some people who think that they may trot this out. Now, I don't think that's the case, because the longer that you wait to get to 14, the longer you wait to get that expanded bag, to get that additional cash, which, and this may shock some of you, it may disappoint some of you, but that's why they're doing it. That's why they're doing it. They are doing it for the bag. So if they put it off one additional year, that is one additional year of not the bag. And that's what we're here for. We're here for the bag. So we'll talk a lot more about this later on in the show and talk about what the timeline might look like, what the setup might look like. That's all coming up later on in the Rob Brown Show. We got to talk a little bit of NASCAR. The boys heading out to Las Vegas, Nevada this weekend. That's a very interesting one. Speaking of NASCAR, they are now the latest sport to begin selling a limited number of their broadcasting rights to streaming subscription services. As Amazon has picked up a handful of races for next year. Only five, but they're dipping a toe in the water, much like the NFL did. And I told you when the NFL did the Peacock game, don't be shocked when they announce more of these. Why? Because we bought in. We bought in. We all, not all, but most of us either already had or went to go get a Peacock subscription so we could watch the AFC champ or divisional game. We all went and got it. It made them a bunch of money, so I knew this was going to happen. And now the other sports are trying it out as well. NASCAR going with a 5-race model on Amazon next year, but NASCAR did something real interesting. They did something real smart. They went and got Dale Jr. They are sharing Dale Jr. with TNT, who also has 5 races next year as well. Dale Jr. doing 10 races, 5 of them streaming content only. Now, NASCAR is not the NFL. Nobody's arguing that it is. But I find it intriguing they're testing out this model. We'll talk about that later. Your NFL Combine got underway yesterday. A couple of guys stood out. We had Rashad Beard on for the Panther Nation podcast. I said, hey, is there any interest? Any interest in the defensive line and linebackers? And he said, oh, yes, there is.
Hell yeah!
Because the Panthers might need an edge rusher. A couple of guys really stood out yesterday. We'll talk Combine results. I will also get you set up for today, where we're going to see the tight ends. For tomorrow, wide receivers and quarterbacks. And then, of course, it goes all the way up through the weekend. So we're going to talk NFL Combine later on.
You said quarterbacks.
Quarterbacks.
So there's okay.
Quarterbacks.
All right. So there are actually more than one quarterback working out.
But none of the top 3, which makes sense. And by the way, I'll address that when we come back. Because that was a conversation that we had last week on my weekly interview with Bet for the Cycle. They asked me a question that I have been asked probably 4 or 5 times since then. And I would like to address it because, and this is true, that's what I want to do. And we do what I want to do on this show. You are welcome to text the show, 71307. Start your text with Fan. Man, I sound like a jerk sometimes. I'm just having the fun. 71307. Start your text with Fan. Call us on the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas. Fan phone 844-326-3663 is the phone number to get on the air. At the Rob Brown Show on X. At Lonzo on Word on Twitter. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate.
Look at what I sent you on Twitter.
Whoa.
No, don't do that. You just made Germany really angry. You really should watch it in case you ever wanted to do this. The thing I sent you on Twitter.
Oh, yeah, I'm about to.
Yeah.
I was reading through the aforementioned thread.
I'm
about to watch this man break his leg.
Just watch.
He hit him with the Austin.
Why? I mean,
first off, and you have my man leave his shoes on, which means he's going to give you everything. Second off, he connected with all meat.
Oh, he did.
All meat.
Because my guy's got some serious thigh going on there, so he's got plenty of target.
Oh, yeah. I will never understand, like,
Well, that doesn't hurt. Yeah.
below-
Yeah, it does.
I will never understand below average bro that thinks he can do anything on the caliber of professional athletes.
By the
You
way,
can't throw darts like a professional
there's a
athlete.
video of this guy asking Jorge Masvidal to kick him in the leg, and so Jorge does, while wearing a Letterman's jacket, and his
Kind
hair
of a
is
dope jacket.
his hair is like down there
Kind of a
now.
dope jacket. Playing with a new stream angle today. How do we feel about it? The only issue I have is I'm so used to being over here that I keep looking where the camera used to be. I'm up in the air on it. I did see that, as a matter of fact, Zach. We're how far is Florence from here?
Couple hours, almost to the beach.
Almost to the beach?
I believe so.
Because that game, they're playing tonight. And, like, I'm half tempted to drive over. I don't have anything to do tonight.
It depends, Zach. You're right, but it depends on how fast you drive, and traffic, and what time of day you
3
leave.
hours.
Because if you go through Columbia, if you at certain times, you're gonna have to deal with traffic. I guess that would be the way you go.
So, a good percentage of the top flight quarterbacks at the NFL draft combine are not working out. Jaden Daniels not working out. Caleb Williams not working out. Drake May not working out. JJ McCarthy is working out. Michael Penix Jr. not working out, as far as I understand. Now, obviously, there are differing levels of not working out. Some guys won't throw. Some guys won't hit the weight. Some guys won't run. It's an all-you-can-eat buffet of physical activity. So, why would a guy not work out? I'm not going to lie. I thought this was an easy answer. But I've been asked this question a number of times. I assumed that people would, get it. The reason you wouldn't work out is because there's no reason for you to work out. What does, let's say, theoretically, what is gained by Caleb Williams if he works out? What does he gain? Your respect. Who cares? What does he gain?
I don't know why they're doing load management when they ain't even started yet. I mean, come on. I mean, the people are there to see them, and they're like, no, I'm not doing that.
What do you gain? Caleb Williams can only lose. That's it. He is already considered, I think incorrectly, but hey, what do I know besides ball? Caleb Williams is widely considered the number 1 ranked quarterback in this draft class. What happens if Caleb Williams goes out there? Caleb Williams gets on the field, and Caleb Williams throws a bunch of dead ducks in the combine. All he does is hurt himself. What if he goes out there and he throws 99 out of 100 perfect passes? Bombs underneath, ins, outs, crossing routes. What if he goes 99 for 100 on 99 perfect passes? What are they going to do? Draft him higher than number 1 overall? What about Jaden Daniels? Jaden Daniels is going to be drafted in the top 3 picks, maybe the top 2. And I don't think there's a world in which he shows up at the combine, works out, and overtakes Caleb Williams. You either already think that Jaden Daniels is that dude, you either already think he's the man now, dog, or you don't. A guy working out in a sleeveless spandex shirt and shorts is not going to convince anybody that doesn't already think that Jaden Daniels is him, that he is, or that Caleb Williams is him, that he is. A lot of these guys don't work out because there is nothing to gain. Now, for the majority of those guys, it's because they are inside the top 1, 3, 5, 10 picks. And they understand they can't go higher. They can't. Marvin Harrison Jr. cannot be drafted higher than he's going to be drafted because there will not be a non-quarterback taken ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr. I have already given my prediction. That guy's coming off the board at 4. I actually made a bet. Marvin Harrison Jr. to be off the board by 4 or earlier. And it feels like free money to me. Really does. There's no incentive for him to work out. Now, there are other guys who are considered later draft picks who will also not work out. But why not? Real simple. Because a lot of guys ain't practice guys. Just like a guy that is at number 1 can only hurt himself if he works out. There are some guys that just don't practice right. They just ain't run drill guy. They've got to go play football to put on display why it is that they are going to be an NFL draft pick. This is not guys being lazy. This is not guys being entitled. This is not guys being spoiled. This is guys protecting everything about their future. Not more, not less. This is just guys protecting their future. That's it. That's all. It is dudes out there trying to figure out what is the best way to be drafted to the best team at the best position. Because, and I know that not all of you think this is right, but the higher you get drafted, the more money you make. And for a lot of people, that's the most important thing. So when you watch and you get frustrated because so-and-so from XYZ State University is not working out, just recognize they are protecting their draft position. It is like buying and selling a stock. The goal is what? Buy it at its lowest, sell it at its highest. And if you've ever day traded before, you know that's hard to do. That's hard to do. But you start to, much like gambling, because that's what it is, you start to be more adept at finding out trends, finding patterns, recognizing the things that you are good at recognizing and recognize the things that you are bad at recognizing. If I recognize that I got a real explosive first step on a pass rush, but that I suck at the 3-cone drill, I'm not going to run the thing that makes me look worse. So that's why you're going to see a lot of names that are at the combine, that are answering questions, that are giving it a go on maybe the bench press, but not the pass rushing drills, or maybe the pass rushing drills, but not the bench press. You'll see some quarterbacks that are going to be out there that are going to throw but not run, or run but not throw, or lift but not do anything on the field, or do stuff on the field but not lift. It's because they recognize where their weaknesses are. They recognize their strengths. They recognize their weaknesses. And like every person, not athlete should, but like every person should, At some point, you get to the point that you look around and you recognize, hey, I'm real bad at this thing. I should probably not do that. I should probably not do that. It doesn't help me to do that thing. I should probably do something else now. So that's it. Coming up later on in the radio broadcast, I'm going to give you some names that I want you to keep an eye on this weekend. I'm going to give you some names that I do think could be in play for the Carolina Panthers when the draft rolls around in a little over a month and a half. Some names that could be in play for the Atlanta Falcons. By the way, and again, not a shock. 0% shock. But I told you yesterday that the Atlanta Falcons are now the Las Vegas favored landing spot for Justin Fields. Now we know why Vegas changed those odds. It's real simple. Because yesterday, the report started circulating about exactly what Chicago wants in order for somebody to make a trade for the number 1 overall pick. What do they want? Everything. The trade haul they're asking for is insane, dude. It's insane for the number 1 pick. All that tells me is they got their guy. It's Caleb Williams. That's their guy. 0% surprising. And by the way, before anybody asks, and they say to me, Rob, we're in the beautiful upstate of South Carolina. Why? Oh, why, pray tell, are you talking about the draft selection of the Chicago Bears? Well, dear listener, I'm glad you asked. Allow me to expound. Because that is the big domino. That's the big domino. That's the domino that's got to fall next. Every other team is now looking to watch and find out what the Bears are going to do with Justin Fields. Now, they may not do anything all the way up until we get to April 25th, and Roger Goodell says, the Chicago Bears are on the clock.
Yeah, but that's a half, unless you want to count it as a whole.
That's fine.
The guy from the Bears said that they wouldn't wait, that if they were going to trade, that they would, get that out of the way early because it would, all fairness to Justin Fields, right?
Yeah, they want to do right by Justin. No. You know what the Bears are going to do? They're going to do whatever's best for the Bears. The NFL is a merciless machine to the players. It will chew you up, and when your usefulness is done and over with, it will spit you right back out. The Bears can say all the nice things in the world, and I respect it, I appreciate it, but it's not true. The Bears are going to do what is best for the Bears. Now, I actually think it is maybe a little bit deeper than that. I think Ryan Poles is going to do what's best for Ryan Poles. I think Matt Eberflus is going to do what's best for Matt Eberflus. I have said a number of times leading up to the draft that I think that Justin Fields is good enough, but I also think his ceiling is good enough. I haven't seen the spark out of this cat that makes me think he is better than good enough. But good enough is good enough. It's not great. It's not excellent. It's not Pro Bowler. It's not Hall of Fame. It's good enough. And there's a lot of teams that wish they had a quarterback that we described as good enough. The Bears have a quarterback that they describe as good enough. The problem here is that good enough isn't good enough for Ryan Poles. It's not good enough for Matt Eberflus. All my BetQL buddies, they're all in Chicago, Illinois. And they are all more than happy to tell you right now that good enough ain't good enough. They expect effort. They expect upward trajectory this year. They expect to be better. They expect to be better. So good enough ain't good enough. And therefore, Justin Fields ain't good enough right now. There are other spots I think Justin Fields can do fine. I think Justin Fields, as I've said a number of times, would be a stellar addition to the Atlanta Falcons. I think Justin Fields can be more than good enough in Atlanta, unlike Chicago. So the reason that we are all hanging out on this right now, and the reason you're not seeing a lot of prognostications about who else might end up where else, is because it matters where Justin Fields goes. If he goes to Atlanta, that changes everything about potential trades up and potential trade back from New England. And if New England moves back out of 3, who goes into that spot? Is there somebody, because we spent all the time talking about teams trading up to go to a QB, is anybody willing to trade up to take a gamble that Marvin Harrison Jr. is a generational talent at wide receiver? There are some teams that need that piece. Carolina, you can't have them at 4, though. That's too expensive for you. But the point stands. But none of that, it's hard to project or prognosticate any of that until Justin Fields is wherever Justin Fields is going to be. And that's why we're all locked in on that. We'll talk more NFL draft later on in the show. I got some guys I want you to keep a weather eye on coming up this weekend. The Hornets have made their hiring for their president of basketball operations, and it it feels to me as if the Hornets, it feels to me like Charlotted. And I want to talk about that coming up later in the show. I would like to talk about the Washington Commanders. Bum, 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 bum. I know, Rob. Nobody cares about the Washington Commanders. That's not about the Commanders. It's about the Commanders. But it's not about the Commanders. It's about their new ownership group. An ownership group that I was very, very excited about. And on day 1 of the combine, I lost all of that. And I want to talk about it because it does directly correlate to the Carolina Panthers. I got that coming up for you. We have got a little bit of baseball. Sorry, that one guy that texts every time I talk about baseball. Go ahead and warm your texting thumbs up.
All right, I will.
It is. I knew it was you. I knew it was you the whole time. I knew it was you, Austin. I knew it was you the whole time. Ronald Acuna Jr., NFL favorite. Is he going back to back? Is he the NFL favorite for the MVP? Or is there somebody out there who can dethrone him? I'm going to give you one name that could dethrone him on his own team. Tell you about that later on. It is going to be a busy, busy day on a Friday. My name is Rob Brown, the great Lonzo on the ones and twos. 844-326-3663. That is the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone. Call it right now and be on the radio show with us, Rob Brown and Lonzo on the Fan Upstate. Whoa. Zach, what's up, big dog? Welcome in. How do we feel about this camera angle? Better, worse, like it, hate it? Where do we fall? I'm debating. I also think I might try to get something that comes off of this and holds the camera elevated so I don't keep causing earthquakes on the stream.
I don't think such a device exists, but
It
I
does.
mean,
It'd just be like a
no, that stops you from shaking it somehow. Because
no, absolutely.
you will find a way.
That is
Yeah, Zach, from what I've seen, Cody's like booked for every SmackDown until WrestleMania. He needs to go hunting. That's what he needs to do. If he's going to be on every SmackDown, he needs to go hunting. Take out Solo. Take out Jimmy would be the easier one, but take out Solo. Take out Jimmy. Take out Heyman.
Take out Heyman. Paul take a bump every now and then.
He's got to get that smack back. That's what he's got to do. Will it be tonight? Boot barn.
It's funny every time.
It's such a contrast to everything that's on.
Yeah.
It just makes it stand out, which is a good thing. I wonder if you're in a car with a lot of bass, what that does, though, that guy's voice.
Price is wrong, Bob.
Just local wrestlers, Zach. They do that. Let them earn their money, man. They should have paid that one dude who got the chair shot like extra. Here's an extra $100, dude. That looked like that hurt.
It really did too. Cody caught him flush, bro.
But also, next time, put your hands up. I mean, you know.
The Rob.
Yeah, now it's like 50-1 this week. Yeah.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan of Stay. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Exceptional, as always, to have you here on a Friday. Rob Brown and the Great Lonzo with you here on the radio broadcast. Renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone. 844-326-3663. I won't spend a ton of time on this, but I will spend some time on this. The National Football League is testing out, reportedly, new technology that would detect the location of a football and give us, fingers crossed, more accurate first down calls, potentially, eventually, replacing chain gangs. And I could not be more excited about that, because I do not know how in the year 2024, a year in which we have microchips in everything that can tell you down to a couple of inches where that thing is, we are still utilizing referees like Bill Vinovich to determine where a football should be spotted. And we are still using, as if we are cavemen from the Neolithic era, 2 sticks and a rope to determine measurement.
It's like a chain, isn't it?
It is, but I needed it to sound worse than it is.
Okay, all right.
I'm all about the drama. You know that. The NFL has reportedly tested optical technology to track first downs in multiple games, including at February's Super Bowl. According to Yahoo Sports, if approved and implemented, the technology would replace the long outdated and oft-criticized system of sideline chain crews that invites human error and guesswork into high-stakes first down measurements. This is according to multiple reports from the NFL Scouting Combine yesterday, per league officials. Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network said the technology is not ready to be rolled out for this season. And as with any significant rule change, it would require a vote of team owners to be approved. The ability to digitally track the football, and this is where the frustration comes in for yours truly and many others. The ability to track the football digitally has been available for a very long time. If you, like me, this year, on Thursday nights happen to be watching the NFL's Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime, you know that they do an AI-assisted program. Now, one of the benefits of artificial intelligence, of which there are, to me, two prime benefits, one of the benefits of artificial intelligence is that it can take in and process thousands upon thousands of data points in a split second. You can feed it an almost nearly unlimited amount of information, and it can process that information and come to a conclusion, a result, in a ridiculously fast period of time. So when you watch the AI-assisted broadcast on Amazon, one of the things that it did was it was calculating down to the millisecond different probabilities and statistics of completed passes or pass rush rates or whatever the case might have been. It was prognosticating what guys on the defense were most likely to blitz out of this form. And it did that by taking a team's entire season worth of plays, analyzing different foundations, formations, tactics, etc., and generating a percentage point. But one of the things that it also was doing, you will have noticed, is as running backs were going in motion and wide receivers were running routes, it would leave a little trail on the field about where they were going. Now, that was not just a guy in the box with a telestrator drawing that line. The NFL for the past couple of years, as well as other sports, you will have noticed, as many of you I'm sure did and made jokes about, that a lot of athletes over the past couple of years have been wearing what appear to be sports bras. You've seen these. They look like the top half of a tank top. And I've been asked a couple of times why they're wearing those.
You sure do notice a lot of things about clothing that I just don't notice.
Hey.
I'm watching the play and stuff. I'm not looking at the fashion. It's just, okay. First the baseball pants, now, the bras. I just don't notice that.
Look good, feel good, play good, one good. All right? It's all about, I'm all about branding, baby. You will have noticed over the past couple of years, a lot of athletes wearing these sports bras. Those sports bras, for lack of a better term, those half a tank tops, those totally fabulous crop tops. In the front of them and in the back of them, you'll notice for most of them, they have a little like square patch. Inside of that patch is a GPS tracking device.
It's like the vests that, for those electronic gun games that don't really work.
Bingo.
Okay.
So they have obviously over the years, because technology gets better year by year, they have shrunk these GPS units down to like the size of a penny. And they go into these sports bras, but that's not the only place they put them. They put them in jerseys. They put them in gloves. They put them in cleats. They put them in balls, in footballs, in baseballs, and soccer balls. And what it does is allow you to track with remarkable accuracy different speeds and distances of players. This is how at the end of, say, a soccer contest, one of the screens they show you in the post game of a major soccer game is they will always put up a title card, and on that card it shows you the distance down to the meter that each player ran during the game. It will show you how much ground was covered. They know that down to the meter. And the reason why is it's a science. It's a science to figure out how far a guy can push himself before he starts subtracting from his capability in the next match. We're doing this in football now. In fact, it is down all the way to the high school level. Some of the nicer high schools across the country have this technology now. It allows you to follow players around the field. You've seen the CGI illustrations on the broadcast after plays are over, where it shows you the 11 guys. That's where that comes from. So I have asked many times, why are we not putting a microchip on both ends of the football? Inject a microchip like Bill Gates into both ends of the football. And then and by the way, it's not just the football. Here's what I'm doing. I'm putting a microchip in the football, both ends. I'm putting a microchip into the knee pads, a sensor into the knee pads of every player, into the elbow of every player, into the butt pocket of every player.
Okay, elbow pad, not the actual elbow, right?
I mean, maybe. I need to know where they've been. No, that's not true. Yes, into the elbow pads or the sleeves or the shoulders or the butt pads or whatever.
So the butt pocket, is that the thing that what is
your butt pocket?
Okay, what is that?
Not like Pappy talks about. I mean, like on pants, you know? The radio icon Pappy.
I don't think they wear those anymore. This is the reason why I'm saying that, because they used to be in your girdle, and they don't. I don't think they wear those anymore.
They don't. That's so 1985. Point is, you can put these microchips, these sensors in a lot of places. And basically what I'm going for here is I want to have the most robotically accurate location in the football when that football is down as I can possibly get. And I want that because I don't want first downs to be determined by referees when people like Bill, son of Avinovich, are still officiating. It's real simple. So now we find out the NFL has been using what they call RFID tags on officials, pylon, sticks, chains, and the ball, been utilizing this tech. Now, in the past, they've been using it to study the game. They've gained analytical insight into players' performance, into teams' performance. My question is, if we are using it so that we can determine how fast Max Crosby gets off the ball or how quickly Patrick Mahomes is able to accelerate out of the pocket or how many meters down to the millimeter DK Metcalf ran on that last breakaway touchdown, then why in the world will we not use it for one of the most important aspects of the actual game, knowing where the football goes? Now, I did find the end of the report interesting. The end of the report from Yahoo Sports saying, quote, the next-gen stats technology does not necessarily translate directly to spotting the ball, which involves multiple factors, including when and where a player's knee, elbow, or otherwise determined body part is rolled down. But it does suggest that the NFL can do better than its long-time use of guesswork spotting and chain crews, end quote. That's all I'm asking.
So,
just do better.
So you are abdicating that this AI technology, robots, if you will, replace the chain gang, and that the chain gang no longer exists. So you're trying to put humans out of work.
I love your go-to of Rob's trying to get people fired.
Oh, no. You're trying to accelerate the death of all things from AI.
The chain gang.
Yes, by eliminating human beings.
The chain gang can still stand out there with their little sticks because we still got to know where the first down marker is, but they can stand out there with their little sticks. And that way, when Marvin Harrison Jr. runs his 7-yard out route, he knows where the target yard line is, et cetera, et cetera. You don't even have to get rid of anybody. All I'm saying is it would be nice if after a play is concluded, you could just look over at a computer screen and go 34-yard line.
How many seconds does that add to the game, though, if you're doing that every single time?
Who cares? I don't care. I would rather the game be right and 2 minutes longer.
No, we can't have that. Not 2 minutes. No.
Texas says, heck, I got a plan. Let's clone the players and use robots. That way all the natural aspects of the game are gone. Dude, do you this is Texter, I love you, heart hands emoji.
This is
big
where he
fan.
defends his robot overlords.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Do you understand the game is still played by the players? The quarterbacks still got to throw. The blockers still got to block. The receivers still got to receive. The defenders still got to defend. All I'm asking is that we know where the hell the play ended instead of just making it up, which is what they are doing right now. That's the way we determine first downs is guessing and then a stick and a chain. That's what we're doing in 2024. I'm saying you have a tech that makes your life easier. I'm willing to bet, Texter. I'm willing to bet that you drive a car with some very nice technology in it. You didn't stick around with the old horse and buggy because that's the natural way to do it. I bet you use technology. In fact, I'm even willing to guarantee it because you used a space-age sci-fi computer in your pocket to send me that message. Technology makes life easier, my dudes, not harder. Just let me know where the ball was down. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking to give the quarterback go-go gadget arms. I'm not asking to strap jetpacks onto the linebackers. Those guys still got to do quarterback and linebacker things. I'm just saying, when the play's over, let me know where the ball was, actually downed. That's all. That's it. Stop panicking. You'll be okay. You know what else is going to be better than okay? Maybe flawless. Not to put the pressure on, but it's this Sports Flash.
Humanity will not go down without a fight, Rob Brown. The winner of the ACC will earn an automatic qualifier spot in this season's expanded college football playoffs, and Las Vegas projects it's going to be a dogfight for the title. The Clemson Tigers and Florida State Seminoles share even odds as favorites, both at plus 280. Miami and Louisville are plus 450 and plus 470, with no other team shorter than 14-1. One of the most popular and recognizable names in NASCAR is on the move from one booth to another after taking the season off from TV. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is projected to move from NBC to TNT and Amazon next season. Tune in tomorrow at 1:30 as the Furman men's basketball team takes on Mercer in the final game of the regular season, right here on your home for Paladins football and basketball, the Fan Upstate.
I love that there are now multiple people in the building that if they see me in the hallways, they yell, "Yeah!"
That can't happen because there are no wrestling fans in the building other than right here. So, that's the only way they would recognize that sort of thing. So maybe you were mistaken.
I must be.
They were saying, hey, not
That's
yeah.
it.
Yeah. You didn't understand their Southern accent. And you give yourself away. I don't think I've really used the word janky, but I want to.
It's a good word.
I really want to.
Real good word.
Got to wait for the right moment, though.
You're not wrong.
Chippin' have 2 P's.
Chipping?
Yeah.
Like
as in-
chipping?
Yes. It does. Never mind. I thought it did.
Unique and unlike any other sports talk show. It's Bad MGM tonight, Monday through Friday from 7 to 11, only on the Fan. Bad MGM tonight is the red zone for casual and hardcore sports fans. Live sports betting updates for all of the night's games as they happen. Get the latest scores, sides, totals, props, parlays, futures, and much more with real-time, relevant sports wagertainment tonight at 7. Bet MGM tonight, exclusively on the Fan. And on the Odyssey app. The Fan. WYRD Radio. WFBC HD3 Greenville. W249GL Greenville. W246CB Spartanburg. CBS Sports Radio. Always live on the Fan Odyssey app. And check this out. You're on official Rob Brown lockdown. Yeah. Unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Real good, Corey LaJoy. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. How do you do, Upstate South Carolina? Hello, America. What's up, world? Great to be with you. Hope you're well.
I'm talking to America here.
I am Rob Brown, the great Malonzo, on the ones and twos this AM. Should you elect to be a part of the radio broadcast, now is a spectacular time to do just that. The renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone is available for you right now at 844-326-3663. That's 844-FANFONE. If you want to get at us in that direction, now's a spectacular time to do it. You may shoot us a text message at 71307, 71307. Start your text with Fan FAN. I wasn't looking. What are you doing?
One shooter.
Shooter. Somebody asked me a question yesterday. I'm glad you brought that up. What sport has the best movies?
Either football or baseball.
See, I think it's baseball.
I don't know. Hoosiers is awful good. Football, the program. I mean,
Remember the Titans,
yeah. I mean, it's. I think it's difficult.
the replacements, any given Sunday.
I know it's not soccer.
But baseball
So,
has the
I
rookie.
mean-
Excuse me? Bend it like Beckham is right there on the table.
Yeah, who's seen that before?
Everyone my age.
You actually watched an
I
entire
was like
movie?
11 when it came out.
Okay, all right, that makes sense then.
I was like 11 when it came out. And this may shock you. I liked the soccer girls back in the day.
Wow. All right. So my favorite. Do you have a favorite sports film? Because I can't narrow it down to one. I love The Natural. That's one
The
of my
Natural.
favorites of all time.
I think that was one of the ones that kind of tilted us towards the belief that there was a conversation going on between a handful of us at the cigar bar on Tuesday, where we were asking that question, like, what sport has the best movies as a whole?
Jacob's right. You got Waterboy. I mean, you got comedies. You've got full on dramas. You got so many things in it. I think it's got to be football.
See, I think, but you do in baseball too. You got Major League is right there. You got The Sandlot.
You also have Little Giants. You've got. I mean, I'm talking about football. I mean, there are a lot of football movies out
Talking
there.
about football.
Yeah, talking about football.
Talking about football.
Talking about America.
Talking about football.
Football.
America's game. Football.
Yes.
All right, we're going to come. You know what? We are going to come back to this later. But it is 7:00, and we have to do what we in the business, Lonzo, call a benchmark. See, this is one of those things that we do every day. It's a reason to listen. It is something that inspires you to make sure that you have your radio on at around 7:05 in the morning before you head to work. And that thing is a thing that we like to call the water cooler cheat sheet. I'm not going to play with it anymore.
Yes, stop it.
The water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you have to know before you get to work in about 54 minutes from right now. Get clocked in, work for about 7 minutes, and then take your first break of the day. When you get there, this is what you'll be talking about. Let us begin, ladies and gentlemen, with item number 1. She has now knocked down the record of Lynette Woodard. She is now, let's be real, 1 game away from knocking down the record of the legendary Pistol Pete Maravich for most points scored in a college career. And now Caitlyn Clark has announced she will be headed to the next level. Caitlyn Clark, very conveniently, Caitlyn, the same day that we had a whole conversation about how it would, in the era of name, image, and likeness, make perfect sense for you to return for 1 more year with Iowa. The COVID year still on the table for the Iowa Hawkeyes sharpshooter. She announced yesterday she would be heading to the WNBA next year. Then I thought about it, and it makes perfect sense. Because who holds the number 1 overall draft pick in the WNBA draft this year? That would be the Indiana Fever. Caitlyn Clark is an Indiana Fever fan. Caitlyn Clark, who is going to be the number 1 overall player in the draft, shocking, I know, is from the Midwest. She is from Des Moines, Iowa, and that whole area is kind of represented by the Fever in the WNBA. So it makes sense that while she might, capital M might, make more money in NIL, she also might not. Because I thought about this yesterday after we had this conversation. We got off the air. Lonzo and I went to the Fortress of Nerditude. I went home, did a couple of BetQL hits yesterday. And then I got to thinking. And while I was thinking, I came to the realization that NIL is something you can take with you. That is not, in fact, if anything, it is something that you can take with you, and it gets easier when you do. At the collegiate level, NIL is on the table, but there's a lot of rules and regulations about what you can NIL and what you can't NIL. At the professional level, while there are still some restrictions, they are much more lax than at the college level. The reality here is this. The NIL representation that college basketball players have can go with them to the next level. It can go with them to the NBA or the WNBA. So Caitlyn Clark, let's say she was going to make, I don't know, $1 million a year. Caleb Williams at USC, allegedly, according to The Athletic, was making $5 million a year playing football at the University of Southern California. They can take that with them. This is probably something that some of you big, smart people out there have already come to the conclusion of. It hit me yesterday. I went, wait a minute. We literally just had a day. We literally just had a day where we spent time talking about the possibility of Caitlyn Clark going to the league and how she might stay because she can make more. The NIL is not a performance contract. The NIL is not a contract that is handed to you based on how good of a basketball or football or baseball player you are. The NIL is handed to you based on who you are. Now, you are who you are because you are good at basketball, football, baseball, whatever. But NIL is given to represent somebody else. Those same people can give you those same contracts once you end up in the next level. So the fact that she got to leave college ball and her reward for doing so is that she gets to go to the next level, is that she gets to go play for her favorite team growing up. It's kind of hard to pass on that. You know, I think all of us would have been happy to go professional, but how much cooler would it be to go pro and play for the team that you loved growing up? Caitlyn Clark on her way to the WNBA. Texter says, Rob, Pistol Pete only had 3 years to play since freshmen weren't eligible. There was no three-point line. There was no shot clock, so teams could hold the ball. Pete averaged 44 points a game versus Clark's 28. To say she's breaking a men's record is a joke. It isn't the same game. Dude, she's breaking the record. All right? She's breaking the record. We can get into the fight about what's more impressive, and I'm fine with that. It's a show for debate and conversation. I'm good with that. But whether or not it's the same, here's the thing. Pistol Pete, there's been a lot of women who have played college basketball since Pistol Pete. How many of them have broken his record? 0, none, not a 9, not a one of them. How many men have broken that record? 0, 9, not a one of them. So the fact that it's being done is what is to be discussed. The fact that Caitlyn Clark has outpaced every other player, regardless of the situation, is still impressive. You can say it's not as impressive as Pete Maravich's record, and I'm totally fine with that. I'm not even going to push back because I think you might have a good argument.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. Records are defined by the people who define the records. So whoever those people are right now who are in charge of saying this is a record, they're going to say it's a record, and forever it shall be a record. Who are the people who define that? I don't know. Is it whoever's over that sport? I'm really asking a question. So
when you say define the record, do you mean like literally what it is, or like the significance and sentimentality?
The people who say, okay, we recognize this as a record. Well, officially, there has to be someone who officially.
It's the governing bodies. It's like the NFL.
Right.
NFL records are defined by the
NFL. So in this case, who defines that? Is it college basketball? Is it the Basketball Hall of Fame? I mean, who defines it? I don't know.
This is a record that is widely recognized between the cumulative entity of the governing bodies of college. This is why, like, for instance, the last couple of records she chased, it went recognition when she broke Kelsey Plum's NCAA record, and then recognition when she broke Lynette Woodard's IEWA record, which was the governing body before the NCAA.
But those are women's records. So who decides that this is now defined? She is defined the greatest scorer of all time.
I think this is the
highest popular opinion. Again, I'm not trying to argue here. I've never really thought about this before.
The thought is there is, much like a championship belt in wrestling, even though that belt may have belonged to different companies, you can trace the lineage of that belt back through those companies, right? Like the NWA championship can be traced back to the territories. We know that friend of the show, R-Truth, became the first Black wrestler to hold that championship. And the reason that was significant isn't because it was on TNA or Impact or whatever show it was on at the time, but because that belt's lineage could be traced back through Flair and Anderson and all these great wrestlers back in the day. It's kind of the same thing. Like the IAWA doesn't exist anymore, but it did. And we can trace the lineage. And when it went away, It was because the NCAA became a thing, and because the NCAA took that spot, the lineage of all the things that went through the last organization become the lineage of the current organization, including the record books. But we also keep record books for the current body in and of itself. So she got recognition for breaking the NCAA's all-time women's record, then recognition for breaking Lynette Woodard's all-time IAWA, I think that's what the letters are, all-time, which is major college. That's why we also say when she broke Woodard's mark, we don't say she broke the IAWA mark. We say she broke the all-time major college basketball record, because the all-time record was set under the IAWA, but the lineage goes through the NCAA, and Lynette Woodard scored more points under that organization than anybody did since then. So therefore, it is not just the IAWA record, it's the all-time women's basketball record. And now with Pete, same thing. The old governing body, he scored the most points under that, but that lineage runs through the NCAA, so it is going to be considered the all-time points total, which, by the way, Caitlyn Clark, if she wants to break that record in the regular season, has one more shot at it, as it is senior day when the Iowa Hawkeyes host the Ohio State Buckeyes coming up on the 3rd. Those tickets, by the way, you want in the door to watch Caitlyn Clark's final home game as an Iowa Hawkeye? In the door, rafter seats, $550 plus.
All right. So Buckeyes, let's play some defense. Let's keep her from breaking that record against you. And if she does it in the tournament, then it doesn't count.
Dude, I'm a Saints fan. If you look at the record books, like every record that's ever gets broken against us. It's a curse. All right. Go read the NFL record book. It's like most of this versus New Orleans Saints. Most this versus it's obnoxious. Anyway, I was star Caitlyn Clark to the WNBA. Let's go to item number 2. We have been telling thee, I don't know why I said it like that. We've been telling you all week long that I like it.
College football.
Oh, that was it? Oh,
I killed it because you nodded, and
I was about to lean in.
I interpreted your body movements as being done with it.
College football playoff is on its way to 14 teams. That is no longer a question mark. That is an inevitability. It is going to 14 teams. The only question is when. When will that happen? I don't know. But we are starting to see a good chunk of the discussion go public. Like, for instance, yesterday, when it was reported that one of the ideas, and perhaps the most popular idea to date that has been floated, is for a 14-team playoff. Duh, Rob, you've been telling us that for the last week and a half. Oh, I know.
Duh.
But now we have some deets, bro. Here's one of the deets. As I have also been telling you for about a week now, when the college football playoffs are expanded, and they will be, don't get too terribly excited, fans of everybody who's not the SEC or the Big Ten, because if they go from 12 to 14, those 2 spots are going to the big dog conferences. Those 2 spots are going to go to the Big Ten and the SEC. Now, my assumption was that the champion of the 2 money conferences and the other participant in the big money conference championship games would be in. But it turns out there may be a 3rd team from both of those conferences, the Big Ten and the SEC. The proposal right now, that according to reports has the most momentum, would see 3 automatic qualifiers go to the Big Ten, 3 automatic qualifiers go to the Southeastern Conference. But there's more. The Atlantic Coast Conference would get 2 automatic qualifiers. The Big 12 would get 2 automatic qualifiers. Notre Dame would get an automatic qualifier spot if they were to finish inside the top 14 of the polls at the conclusion of the season, and the highest ranked group of 5 champion would get an automatic qualifier position. Now, if you're doing the math, and don't worry, I did it for you, mainly because I had enough time this morning to like do the long division and carry the one and do all that tough stuff. I'm a words person, not a numbers person, clearly. If you do the math, with the AQ, 3 to the SEC, 3 to Big 10, 2 to the ACC, 2 to the Big 12, 1 to the group of 5, and if Notre Dame is inside the top 14 at the end of the year and they get one, that would be 11 automatic qualifiers, meaning there would be room for 3 at-larges. That would mean that if Notre Dame makes it inside the top 14, of the 14 playoff spots, 11 of them are parked for conference participants. The entire rest of the country would compete for the 3. And oh, by the way, those 3 at-large spots can 100% be earned by teams that are inside of automatic qualifier conferences who did not get an AQ. Here's what I'm thinking about, intrigued by, you might even say. What I'm intrigued by here is I wonder what this changes. Because if Notre Dame's in the top 14 and the rest of the country has 3 spots to fight over, have we really done anything to change the game? Have we really done anything in terms of accessibility, in terms of equity between all conferences to make it into the dance? The answer to me is, nah, not really. Like, not really.
Did you think there would be?
Yes. When we were going to go with the 5+7 model, which we will do this year, that's 7 at-large spots.
It doesn't mean they won't look at how it goes this year and go, you know what, this worked really well, we're going to stick with this, right? Isn't that a possibility?
Yes and no. They are going to 14. Nobody's pushing back against that, right? They are going to 14.
Once they got 12 approved, that means they can do what basketball did and just keep expanding.
I got news for you. They're going to 14 next. Do not be shocked when we go to 16 in 2 years after that.
Yeah, I think we go to 16 and stay there for a while, but we'll see.
I think 16's probably, it's not quite going to be basketball caliber where you can have teams play 2 or 3 games in 3 or 4 days. But I think 16 is going to be the magic number. I think you're going to have a 16-team tournament when it's all said and done. But the race to 14 should surprise exactly and precisely 0 people. Should surprise nobody. And it does not surprise me. What does surprise me is in 14 teams, we would have, again, pending Notre Dame, either 3 or at maximum 4 at-large spots for the rest of the country, including the teams in the Big 10, in the SEC, in the ACC, in the Big 12 that do not get an AQ spot. Meaning that if the SEC has, let's say, at the end of the year, 12-0 Georgia taking on 12-0 Alabama in the SEC championship game. And then outside of that, you have 11-1 Ole Miss and 11-1 South Carolina. Those 4 teams are getting it. That means somebody's getting an at-large spot. Could we end up in a spot with, if Notre Dame's in the top 14 and only 3 at-large bids, could we end up in a spot where, I don't know, Lonzo, hypothetically, like a 10-2 SEC team bumps an 11-1 ACC team out of the playoff and takes away their accessibility to a title? Yes, we could, and therefore we've expanded the playoffs and not solved the problem. That's my point.
Okay.
Does that make sense, or am I being like,
oh, no,
obtuse here?
I get it. I've said from the beginning that there'll just be other problems. I mean, a lot of people think this fixes everything. They're wrong. It doesn't. It just adds more potential problems. There's always going to be some team that's unhappy because they were on the outside and didn't make it into what is now an expanded tournament.
It's fair. All right. We would get to item number 3, but I pushed this so late. We're going to take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, I'll see if I want to get to item number 3. It's Friday. You know, we're just kind of let's just have a good time today. What sport? This is peak off-season radio. I ordinarily hate this kind of conversation on the radio. But like me and the fellas Tuesday night at the cigar bar went deep into this one, and I want to bring it to you now. What sport has the best movies? We'll address that when we come back. Rob Alonzo and you on the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate.
Smith.
All right, guys, live reading. We're coming right back. Please stay right there.
So maybe when he sees performance, he's thinking romance.
Performance. The Chumba Life.
Have you been up to Harris or anything like that?
I have not. I'd like to.
My wife has expressed interest. I've never been to a casino before. I know it's probably not the same as, Vegas, but
It's not. I should amend that. I was there for a concert when I was younger, but I wasn't gambling age yet, so I haven't been to the casino part of it. I've just been to their concert venue, and it's not bad.
I mean, chances are I walk in and go, man, this is not for me.
I doubt it. It's not like a house of debauchery or anything.
That's not what I mean. I mean the amount of people and all that.
Quality does not equal quantity, my friends. Quantity does not equal quality. There can be a lot of something without that something being the best thing. There are a billion cars on the road made by some of the companies. I won't name any specifically. There are only a few Lamborghinis. But I think the overwhelming majority of us, if given the choice between a Lamborghini and a whatever car you're thinking about right now, we would almost all take the Lamborghini.
Only if you made the money to be able to afford the insurance.
Yeah, it's
I
probably
know
not
people
cheap.
don't think about that, but that insurance has got to be astronomical.
Yeah, you ain't wrong. So, because of that, I want you to keep that in consideration when I ask you the following question. What sport has the best movies? What sport has the best movies? Tuesday evening, I was sitting at the cigar bar with a couple of the fellas, and I was asked that question. And I had a gut reaction. My gut reaction was baseball. My gut reaction was baseball has the best movies. I think because of what baseball is. Baseball is a sport that, yes, it is a team sport, but it is a team sport that is wrapped up around individual performances being performed as a team. On top of that, I think there is something about baseball, aside from its history and its tradition. Most of us grew up with somebody in our family who was a big baseball guy. And that was your bond. I didn't say all of us, I said most of us. But most of us grew up with somebody. My grandpa was a big baseball guy. We bonded over baseball when I was a youth.
I gotta say, I don't know anyone in my family who's a baseball fan. I got a pretty big family.
Hence the most of us.
Right. No, I'm just making the sample what it is.
I am shocked.
I'm not trying to go against you.
I get shocked. So you don't have that one uncle, big Reds fan?
No.
That's shock. Honestly, it's a little shocking. But maybe that's just maybe that's a regional thing. That being said, I know the Reds have an enormous fan base. I know the Guardians have a huge fan base.
I have a very big family, so there may be a cousin somewhere who's into it that I don't even know exists. But I will tell you, my grandma had 13 kids, all lived in Kentucky.
Your grandma had a baseball team with subs.
She did. Yeah, and none of them were sports fans, period, except for my uncle who was into NBA. And that's it. The only guy who I know is into sports out of all my uncles and aunts was my Uncle Millis, who was a big time basketball fan, big time Celtic fan.
I grew up in a basketball family. All my uncles are basketball players. My dad was a basketball player. I grew up in a basketball. My first word was basketball. My first love is basketball. But my grandpa was a baseball guy. Anytime that we went to grandpa's during baseball season on a Sunday, you would find me and Pops sitting in the kitchen watching either PGA in the mornings or baseball in the afternoons. Big baseball guy. And so I think there is some level of sentimental attachment to baseball that is, I'm not going to say better or more passionate, but I think it is different than the sentimental attachment for football.
I will tell you, in my family, at least the ones that I know that all moved to Ohio, which was almost every uncle, I am the first one who play a sport, period, which was football, just because none of them were into it and most of them didn't really go to school. So, I mean, that's I looked it up, by the way, because I was curious on IMDb about sports movies, and they have listed 1,433 sports movies. They have them ranked by Metascores, but they have that many. So there's roughly 1,500 sports movies.
And I'm not surprised by that. Sports have been, will remain a major passion of America.
By the way, they put movies like Blades of Glory in there, though.
It's a dumb one.
I'm sure like basketball will be in here
for sure.
Yeah.
So I thought about this, and my gut reaction when the fella said, what sport do you think has the best movie? My gut reaction was baseball. But I also, again, understand I have a sentimental attachment to baseball that even though I love basketball.
What's your favorite baseball movie?
Honestly, it's probably The Sandlot.
So Rocky's not better than that?
You didn't ask me what the best
movie is.
You asked me what my favorite is.
I'm just giving some examples. So Caddyshack's not better than that. I mean, there are other sports movies that some would say are better than that.
Sure.
It's subjective like anything else. It's where you are, when you see it, how old you are, all that sort of thing.
I am not disagreeing. I could not disagree. Obviously, all art is subjective. So that is why this question is entertaining for me, because I had the gut reaction of baseball has the best movies. And I think the gut reaction I had was because, like I said, I have a massive sentimental attachment to baseball. But then we literally just started listing our favorite movies. There were 6 of us sitting around, and we just started listing movies. It was The Natural. It was The Rookie. It was Any Given Sunday. It was The Longest Yard, both the original and the remake. It was Friday Night Lights. Chris Rock got blowed up. And in fairness, there is nothing like sitting around with the boys just mentioning sports things that you love. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Especially when they bring up movies that you've forgotten about.
For sure.
Then you're like, oh, yeah, that was. So Replacements is really high on my.
Replacement's a great movie.
Just because it just is.
My buddy Nick Ashus, host of BetMGM Tonight, has a Shane Falco jersey hanging on his wall next to his Bobby Boucher jersey.
Does he have a Johnny Utah?
I do not know.
No, because that's
a great question. That's got to be next on his list. I will ask him next Thursday. So we really started kicking it around, and I landed on baseball with the maybe farcical thought that America has or at least for a very long time, had a very sentimental attachment to baseball, an almost romantic interest with baseball that I don't think it shares with other sports. In fact, I use this comparison with one of the guys in the group. I said, look, to me, baseball is the girl that you're enamored with. Baseball is the girl you bring flowers and you open the door and you write poetry for and you take her out to dinner. You learn to cook for her. Baseball is the girl that you fall in love with. Football's a girl you go home with the bar from on a Saturday night after you've had a couple of Jägermeisters. And I mean that in the best possible way. In the best possible
It doesn't
way.
sound like it. It does not.
That.
It does not sound that way.
And for those of us that have been at bars at 1:58 a.m. after a few too many Jaeger bombs, when the owner comes out and goes, last call, everybody, you got 2 minutes, last call. And you start looking around for somebody to talk to, you understand what I'm saying.
That famous band Rob's Hat wrote a song about that.
Yeah. Baseball is the girl you teach yourself to cook for. Football is the girl you're in a Waffle House at 2:45 in the morning with.
All right, again, that's very disparaging towards football, and
It's not.
It is, and I'm offended because I wouldn't think of it that way either way. If you're into baseball, you're into baseball. That's fine. You think those movies are better? That's on you. But I'm not gonna throw Waffle House in there. I mean, so you're going football is white trash.
No,
that's what
that's
what I'm getting out of that.
This is where our life philosophies come different. I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm going to get in trouble for this. Some of my favorite people are the people I met at 1:45 in the morning at a bar. Some of my best friends to this day are people that I met at 1:45 in the morning at a bar. If I am with you at a Waffle House at 2:30 in the morning, it's because I love you or for a night I think I do. Okay? That's not disparaging.
It is.
I can't be more complimentary than that.
So you only love football if you've imbibed a bit.
No.
That's what I'm getting out of that.
I understand that. Here's what it comes down to. There's no way for you to understand my reference point on this. There's just no way for you to understand.
Finally, it's been almost 3 years of us together, and you finally get that there are some perspectives that I'm not going to get. And I think it might be the opposite. It may not. Even though I have never been drunk or never drank before, I was designated driver. And I watched all my friends have those things.
That is not the same as having the thing. There's no way I can get
I feel like you're putting football down. I really do.
I know you do because you don't understand my reference point. If there are fellas out there right now that have lived the life I'm talking about that are like, yeah, because they're having flashbacks to that one redhead they met that one night when they were 21 years old, and they've never forgotten her.
So you don't get how this sounds. You're saying that football looked really good till the next day, and you realize football was not it's not baseball.
Not at all. I just said there are some fellas that have that gal that they had that one-nighter with when they were 22 years old, and she has never left their memory. There are gals out there you meet one night and you compare that. And for the record, for the ladies, it's the same thing. They got that one fella that they had that one date with, that one night with, and they subconsciously or otherwise judge every other night of passion against that one dude. Again, there's no way for me to get you to understand your frame of reference other than for me to tell you that is a special feeling that means something. So baseball, Texter said, Rob, you just hit the nail on the head with the Waffle House analogy. I know I did.
No, you're putting football down, and I'm embarrassed. I'm hurt. Football is better than that, Rob.
All right, I want to pick this up when we come back because I'm not done with it. I by any means I'm not done with this. So we'll talk about it more when we come back. Text line 71307. Start your text with fan. What sport has the best movies? Entire catalog available. What sport has the best movies? We'll talk more about it when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. This, I can't, yes. That's all I can give you.
That's fine. You've said football was lesser. I did not. You
said
can't convince me otherwise. I heard what you said.
Okay, well, then I'm not. You can't have a conversation with somebody who acknowledges they can't be convinced of something. All I can tell you is
I acknowledge that you should acknowledge me.
I do acknowledge you. I acknowledge the fact
You
that
just pretend like I'm not over here. You pretend like football is only there if you had a hard night, and then the next morning you look at football and go, "Oh man, what have I done?"
I love that
You even mentioned that.
Zach literally just said they give you something that you cannot forget, and your reaction is.
By the way,
no,
in the end, we're both wrong because
I'm
if you
not wrong.
ask most guys, see, look at that.
I'm
Look
not
at
wrong at all.
that. If you ask most guys, their top 3 or 4 movies, Caddyshack is in there, and other sports movies aren't. So golf has the best sports movie of all
Why
time.
do you get to speak on behalf of all guys?
Because I'm older, and I said if you ask most guys, I didn't do what you do and say if you ask all guys. I said most guys. I did say most. Caddyshack is the greatest sports movie of all time. And in the top 3 or 4 movies, when you ask a guy, you have to watch this movie, it's that, Blazing Saddles, and then everything else just kind of fluctuates. But Caddyshack is almost always in there, which means golf movies are the greatest of all time. They beat football, they beat basketball, they beat your baseball. Golf is the champion.
Lonzo is now just being combative.
No, I'm not. I'm not. You ask most guys, hey, what if the kid just hit 18 and you want him to watch movies, they're going to say watch Blazing Saddles or watch Caddyshack.
You got on me yesterday for saying that the words "making whoopee" were out of date, and you think like an 18-year-old's going to be into Caddyshack and
You
Blazing
just
Saddles.
don't want to agree with me. That's fine because you're combative and you're a contrarian, and everyone's seeing it.
Literally, people are on the stream agreeing with me right now.
You're 5. You're 5.
All right, welcome back. Oh wait, I gotta wait for the music. There it is. All right, we did it, everybody. I'm so proud of us. We did it.
All
Good
right,
job.
because just because of heated discussion, you made me forget to push the music.
So
It's just so negative, man. I mean, I know that it's raining outside. Why you want to fight?
I don't. We are having the discussion about what sport has the best movies. And my reaction was baseball. Okay. My reaction was baseball. And I made an analogy for it. Baseball, I think, at least I'm going to say for a lot of dudes my age and older. I won't say all. I don't speak on behalf of all men. I am no arbiter. No one on the show is an arbiter.
Who does that?
On behalf of a lot of guys my age, including all the dudes that I talked with the other night about this exact conversation, the metaphor I came up with was this. Baseball is your baseball is the woman you learn to cook for. Football's the woman you're at a Waffle House at 2:45 in the morning. And that is not disparaging because as Zach showed up in the stream
it is disparaging.
Let me finish.
I don't care. It's
and-
disparaging.
to you, subjectively to you. But guys like Zach, who chimed in the stream and said that's because the one night they gave you something that you can't forget. Correct. That's not to say it is bad or you regret it. Again, a lot of people who come from the way of life that finds you in bars at 2 a.m. in your 20s have nights that they will never forget with people they don't talk to anymore, or some people that they do. That's football to me. It is fast, it is passion, it is intense, it is heat, and it is rare, it is fleeting. Baseball, you develop a romance with baseball. And so to me, the movies kind of follow that same thing. And here's what I landed on with this. My favorite football movies are the fun football movies. The Longest Yard, The Replacements. And again, art is subjective, but I look at, for instance, Any Given Sunday. That movie's okay to me. Like, it's fine. It's okay. I think the Game of Inches speech, honestly, I think it's one of the most overrated speeches in movie history. I think it's an overrated speech for that movie, for the sports movie industry. I think when I look at football, my favorite movies are the fun ones. It's Stone Cold Steve Austin and Kevin Nash in The Longest Yard.
Should watch what people put in your food. That's all I'm saying.
It's Burt Reynolds making a cameo in The Longest Yard.
Or in the original being the star.
Playing him in the original movie. Paul Wrecking Crew. Right? They're fun. Baseball movies, to me, the best baseball movies are like dramatic. The Rookie, The Natural. I know it's mostly a comedy, but you're telling me
is The Rookie a drama?
I would say so.
Is it?
I would say so. I would also say there are some movies that pretend to be a comedy, like The Sandlot, but tell me how many of y'all didn't have a group of ya boys that played Little League ball tomorrow, back in the day, that you didn't have your Sandlot crew, and you don't kind of have a connection with
All
that.
I can say is your analogies are killing me.
And they're spot on. I have to tell you.
I was, loosely quoting The Sandlot. But anyway.
You're killing me, Smalls. All right, so let's look at some of
You're
y'all
just so
texts.
mad at me. You're not even noticing my pop culture reference.
I'm not mad. I'm frustrated. All right, I'm frustrated.
I'm also frustrated. You don't see that you're disparaging football. I'm offended.
So let's get into some text. 71307 is the text line before we take a break. What sport has the best movies? Texter says baseball. The Sandlot was set in the 60s and Babe Ruth was already a legend. Another texter says baseball. Field of Dreams, Sandlot, Bull Durham, The Natural, Rookie of the Year, Angels in the Outfield, Bad News Bears.
You know what's so funny? And I just need to interrupt for a second. This is the same text line who says that you should only talk about baseball for 10% of the time, and you're taking them as law. Okay,
We got a bunch of them.
Okay, all right.
Texter says, I like more serious football movies like Everybody's All-American and Remember the Titans. Texter says, golf. Caddyshack, Happy Gilmore, Tin Cup, The Legend of Bagger Vance, which, by the way, Legend of Bagger Vance is one of the most unappreciated movies of all time.
That's the only one I haven't seen.
Oh, it's incredible.
Does Will Smith hit anybody with a club?
He does not.
Okay, I'm just,
does not. Texter said, if I'm anywhere with someone at 2:30 a.m., you better know I love you. I either love you, or for tonight, I think I do.
Or I love you.
Yeah. Tonight, I think I do. Texter said baseball, no question. Sandlot, Field of Dreams, a league of their own, and there's at least a handful more. Texter said baseball, there's more history like the Ken Burns documentary as a bonus. Texter said, why is it not okay for baseball to be good in our eyes and NFL not so much? Baseball is very much the romanticized sport for me because I grew up watching it with my grandfather in the Dale Murphy Braves area. I very much see football as the Waffle House girl. And to make the salt in the wound even worse, I put the NHL above the Texter, you had it. You had it. And right at the very end, you turn the audience against
By the way, speaking of it, he has played every single one of you. Rob Brown has played every one of you. Yeah, because now he can talk about baseball more because he can reference back to this day when you all said, baseball is more romanticized, all that kind. You just gave him.
I didn't even think about that.
What he wanted.
I'm glad you brought it up. I didn't think about it. Texter said maybe Zoe was onto something. Happy Gilmore is way up there, so it's golf. Texter said, sorry, Rob. Football. Think about it. Even Dazed and Confused could be considered a football movie. Nothing is better than Varsity Blues with the whipped cream bikini. Oh, man.
Yeah, but he turned her down. He
did.
The Mox.
He did. Mm-hmm. The whipped cream bikini. I was a child. I get it.
Hopefully you weren't too young.
I mean, I was... Okay. Football for sure is the best movies. Remember the Titans and Rudy hit you right in the feels. That's from Kevin D. You ready for my hottest hot take of this whole segment? I hate Rudy. I hate that movie. I hate the story.
I've never watched Rudy because Notre Dame is so, look at us, we're Notre Dame. Look, I care about you.
You should watch it just to see it.
No.
But I'm going to tell you
if I watch it, I'll see Samwise the entire time. Why is Samwise playing football?
About 14 years ago, I had on a guy that I verified as a teammate of Rudy's. And he said that entire movie is bull. Said the whole thing. He said Rudy was a big ass dude. Like he was not some little runt who kind of walked on. He was a big dude. And his words, not mine, were Rudy just sucked, which I thought was incredible. Texter said, I put hockey over boxing for movies because of movies like Slapshot, Youngblood, Mystery Alaska, and Miracle on Ice. They don't not put the Mighty Ducks in there too,
I was
bud.
going to say, why is that not in there?
Texter says, best movies ranked by sport. Baseball, football, basketball, hockey, boxing, running. Running?
Chariots of Fire.
Texter said, I'm happily married to baseball and my wife. Respect that. Texter said, any movie with the whipped cream bikini for the win. That is 2 whipped cream bikini references in one segment. I'm so proud
Do you
of
guys
you
even
all.
remember the actress or the character name?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
All right.
Texter said it's got to be football, right? I mean, it has cinematic greats like the movies about Kurt Warner and Sean Payton. Okay. Texter said football. Remember the Titans in Varsity Blues. Texter said, Lonzo, don't you ever badmouth Blades of Glory again. I respect that.
I apologize.
I respect that. Texas had hockey. The Mighty Ducks were pretty good. And that's where we're at right now. All right, you can keep them coming in. We'll kind of hit back at this discussion on and off throughout the rest of the show. Looking for your take. What sport has the best movies? You know who has the best sports flashes? Even if he doesn't understand what it's like to be with a young lady in a Waffle House at 3 a.m, it's Lonzo.
Okay, whatever. Be proud about whatever you're proud about. Be strong, Rob Brown. College football leaders are discussing expansion to a 14-team playoff, and some proposed formats are beginning to go public. One proposal being taken seriously would see the SEC and Big 10 receiving 3 automatic qualifier spots, the Big 12 and ACC receiving 2 AQ spots, the group of 5 receiving 1, Notre Dame earning an AQ spot automatically for some reason spot if it's inside the top 14, and 3 at-large spots. Iowa women's basketball mix star Caitlyn Clark has made her decision. Clark announced yesterday she has decided to enter this year's WNBA draft. Tune in tomorrow at 1:30 as the Furman men's basketball team takes on Mercer in the final game of the regular season, right here on your home for Paladins football and basketball. That's us. It's the Fan Upstate. Don't forget, White Man Can't Jump, Zach, in those basketball movies. Except for that whole thing's been dispelled because of my dude who's won the dunk contest 2 years in a row. But I think we fight more about analogies than we do the actual topic. Cool Runnings was really good, Steven. I agree. And based on a true story. So I think the real question is, if football is the girl you take to Waffle House, what's basketball? And where's hockey? I mean, are those like, is one of them the person you take to church?
I'm going to do
and
this.
the other one
I'm going to do this. I got it. Hockey is the girl that says to you, let's go to a UFC fight for a date.
Okay. All right.
That's a good girl. However, she's a girl. And again, a lot of this is regional. Hockey, if you live in a hockey, or if you're Canadian, hockey is the baseball girl. if you're from the Southeast. Hockey's the girl that, like, you call every couple of weeks at 11 o'clock at night because you're bored. You hit her with the old,
you mean booty call?
you up text?
You mean booty call?
Yeah, the old WYD text. That's hockey. Basketball's the super attractive friend that you take out just to impress people. Just to have people look at you and be like, how did that guy end up with that lady? Even if you're not really with her. Basketball's your mistress.
Well, basketball is a girl that you want getting out of your car in front of everybody so they can
Correct.
go, oh.
Correct.
By the way, I've been out at 2:30 in the morning. I just want to point that out. We used to go midnight bowling every Saturday, which would end around 2:00. Then we would ended up going to TJ's country house for
TJ's
breakfast,
Country House.
or we'd go to White Castle. And got to tell you, I don't recall anyone, being worth it, whether you were drunk or otherwise, in White Castle or TJ's at 2:30 in the morning. As long as your doghouse has a widescreen, you're good.
That's it.
Smith on first break.
10-4.
As I said on the stream, we have more arguments about analogies than we do actual
That's
topics.
100% correct. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Welcome in, Rob Brown and the great one, Alonzo. We have had. I'm gonna be straight up with you. I did not think. I knew that this was gonna be a discussion. I knew that there was going to be some good stuff here. I knew that there was going to be a lot of intensity in the conversation because it kind of is a big deal to a lot of us. But I did not expect it to go this bananas that quickly. What are you going to do? Here we are. As Lonzo pointed out, we've had more arguments over metaphors than we have about sports over the years. Accurate. And hilarious, if you ask me,
and probably will continue throughout our history, whatever that should be.
I do not doubt it. So,
wait, let me our award-winning history. Sorry, I had to amend that. Yes,
multiple award-winning history. Multiple award-winning history. So, we have some stuff to get to. We got more sports stories we need to get to, but I will leave the text line open at 71307. What sports have the best movies? What sport has the best movies? Let's put it that way. What sport has the best movies? I would say right now, it's a pretty even heat between baseball and football. I have seen, by the way, not a text yet saying basketball. Not one saying basketball.
There's some you got to go up, but there's some
okay.
stream.
Zach said basketball on the stream, but he also mentioned Sandlot and some baseball movies as well. The best part of this conversation, without question, has been comparing genres of movies to, let's just say, partners
or women of the night. Apparently,
let's just say partners. Partners in what? Up to you, but let's just say partners. Of which, by the way, you guys have had some phenomenal ones so far. So I will defer to all of you. What sport has the best movies? That's what we're looking for right now. 844-326-3663. Text us 71307. Start that text with FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the air. Fun conversation, man. But let's get to some of the other stuff that we got to get to on the show today. A lot of other topics I want to talk about. Texture said it's fast, or Zach said it's Fast and the Furious, a racing movie.
Street racing is a sport. It's not recognized, I don't think, but it's still a sport, right?
I mean, if it were
recognized,
if
it were recognized, it'd probably be on the Ocho. But it's the
Ocho.
It's still a sport.
I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that, to be honest. All right, let's get to some other stuff. Let's start with the NFL. The competition committee is going to be busy. We know that they are, as of right now, discussing, debating, kicking back and forth a potential change to kickoffs. We told you about that earlier in the week. It appears that they are leaning towards a old XFL model of kickoffs in the future. That would be where both teams are lined up on the far side 30, and only the kicker and kick returner would be allowed to move until the ball is caught. So you would have the kicker deep, you would have the kick returner deep. On the far side of the field, the kicking team would line up on the 30, the receiving team would line up on the 35. The 10 guys on either line cannot move until the ball is actively caught. Then they would take off. Interesting debate. We also found out yesterday that the National Football League's competition committee will not, Lonzo, ban the tush push. The tush push is, for at least one more year, safe.
But here's the thing. Is it still the tush push? Will it still be as effective if Jason Kelce retires?
That's a good question. How important was
contrary
Kelce
to the media saying he retired, from what I understand, he still has not.
He is not officially retired. He's not made his decision yet. And there's all these stories coming out of Philly that it strikes me less as Jason Kelce might have a change of heart. And it strikes me more as Philly fans are just like, please come back.
Can they do the tush push without him, though? I don't know. We'll see. We may see.
We can. He told the story on his New Heights pod, which, again, I very rarely do I rep other folks' pods. The New Heights pod's real interesting because you are getting the perspective inside the NFL from a couple of dudes. And on top of that, they are genuinely entertaining. The Kelce bros. They're entertaining cats. So he told the story about how they arrived at the tush push. Basically, what he said was that they brought in either a player or a coach. I don't remember. Zoe, you may have heard it and remember better than I. But they brought in either a player or a coach who was a member of the New Zealand rugby team. Now, the New Zealand rugby team, the All Blacks, as they are called, are widely known as the best rugby program on planet Earth. And so they brought in a guy who basically taught them the rugby scrum, basically taught them how a rugby scrum works. And then they just took the philosophies behind a rugby scrum, put it into play on the football field, and it has worked. I'm going to go ahead and say this. I do not think, with or without Jason Kelce, that the tush push is going to be as effective next year. And I don't think it's going to be as effective next year, primarily because the secret's out. The secret's out as to why they run it, how they run it, and more importantly, how they learn to run it. So if I want to learn how to beat a rugby scrum, what am I going to do? I'm going to call a member of the Australian rugby team and be like, yo, if they're doing this, how do we stop it?
Chances are there might be an Australian kicker on your team who could probably show you how to do it.
The Aussies are real good at kicking footballs. So the fact that the tush push is going to be allowed First off, that's the right call. I can't change the rules of football because one team got real good at something. At no point during Tom Brady's career did we start restricting passing offense because Tom Brady was so much better than everybody else at it.
Tuck rule happened because of Tom
The Tuck
Brady,
rule did happen because of him.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
That's actually a very valid point.
Maybe reinforce cell phones. I'm not sure about that one.
Somewhere Microsoft got a lot of free R&D about how to make their tablets a little stronger.
Also, the real reason why they're going to chip balls so they can, automatically know how much PSI is in there.
Fair enough. All right, maybe not a great example. Maybe not my best example yet. That one is not reaching the heights of football's the Waffle House girl. All right. So I think that banning the tush push because the Eagles were real good at it and nobody else could figure it out.
It's not fair. We can't stop it. I don't know how to do it. You just take it away.
They're not going to ban it. But much like everything else, the game evolves. Every year, somebody gets really, really good at something, and then we have the off season. And a bunch of big, smart football boys sit around, and they look at some video, and they go, okay, the tush push worked because of X, Y, and Z. And so in order to counter that defensively, we need to do this. And the next thing you know, next year, that team's not as good at that thing anymore. That's true of everybody that's not like Patrick Mahomes or Drew Brees or Tom Brady, right? So because of that, I'm not super worried about it. I'm not going to change the rules of the game because one team got real good at that one thing. Now, here is a thing that the competition committee is expected to change. According to Yahoo Sports, scoring was down in the NFL this year to 43.5 total points per game. If you listen to Rob Brown and you bet the under on every game this year, you made money. The NFL attributes more backup quarterbacks starting games as one of three primary reasons for that. The NFL saw 66 different starting quarterbacks for teams this year. One way that they aim to protect quarterbacks, because a lot of the rule changes that happen in football are to protect quarterbacks. My dudes, it's a star-driven league, and there ain't no bigger star than NFL quarterbacks in the game. So the NFL said, all right, we had too many QB injuries this year. How do we defend them? One of the solutions that they came up with is the potential change to the intentional grounding rules. The league had 59 intentional grounding calls in 2023, with only 2 drives that featured an intentional grounding call ending in a touchdown. The competition committee has discussed and will continue to discuss adjusting the grounding rule. They are considering a proposal to make no distinction between the quarterback being in or out of the pocket as there is now. As it stands now, if the quarterback throws the ball from inside the pocket into not the area of a wide receiver and not back to the line of scrimmage, then that is a grounding. The rule change, if adopted, would help officials and the replay assistant with determining whether to make a grounding call. Troy Vincent, NFL Executive Vice President of Football Operations, said he anticipates a playing rule proposal to adjust the grounding rule. He said, quote, "We think about protecting the quarterback. There's an opportunity here to look at that injury data. Most of the quarterback injuries occurred in the pocket. It may be time to evolve this particular call to protect the quarterback both in and outside the pocket, as well as assisting the referee in that administration, because his eyes are actually on the quarterback. Did it make it back to the line of scrimmage?" Why does it say did it make it 5 times? Whatever. Point is that this will have a massive impact on the game.
Okay, would this rule have impacted the Super Bowl when Mahomes was said to have grounded the ball when there was a receiver in the area, in the frame? Everyone saw it, but they called it grounding anyway.
So one of the problems with you have with the grounding call is there is no solid definition of in the area. Does that mean 5 yards, 10 yards, 15 yards in that general direction?
Or do you take into account the particular quarterback that's throwing the ball, because some of them have a better shot of getting it to an area than others do? I don't know.
Well, again, the narrative for years has been that there are special rules for special dudes, right?
There are. I know all about that.
So the intentional grounding rule as it is written right now is this. Intentional grounding will not be called when a passer who is outside of or has been outside the tackle position throws a forward pass that lands at or beyond the line of scrimmage, even if no offensive players have a realistic chance to catch the ball, including when the ball lands out of bounds over the sideline or end lines. If the ball crosses the line of scrimmage, extended beyond the sideline, there is no intentional grounding. If a loose ball leaves the area bordered by the tackles, this area no longer exists. If the ball is recovered, all intentional grounding rules apply as if the passer is outside of the area. So there's not a definition of what in the area means. This is also going to kind of help with that. But I'll tell you where this does have an impact on the game. I don't know, frankly, if the competition committee is going to care about this, because as I've said a number of times, and as all of you know, priority one is to keep quarterbacks healthy and in the game. Because forget the star-making power. How many of us, not that it never happens, but how many of us see that Team X in a heated game at Team Y sees their starting quarterback injured, they have to go to the backup, and we don't go, yeah, this one's over. They want to keep the starting quarterbacks healthy.
Maybe back in the day with Montana and Steve Young.
Sure, but that's it.
Mean, yeah.
There's no point where Mahomes goes out and
Blaine Gabbert
comes in that anybody looks at the Chiefs the same way, right? There's no world in which Lamar Jackson goes out and
yeah, you get me on this one because I don't know.
Stalling. Tyler Huntley checks in that the Ravens are the same team. So they want to keep these guys healthy and upright. Where you're going to lose people here.
Why didn't you use New Orleans as an example?
Because we have a dude back there. We have a Stormin' Mormon and a Jameis Winston. We always got a chance, baby. As long as Taysom Hill's alive and breathing, we got a chance. Even if NFL Hall of Famer Derek Carr goes down, we got Taysom Hill waiting in the wings. We're good. Was that an awkward silence I just heard?
No, I appreciate your passion to the point where I had no comment.
Perfect. I heard the unapproachable noise of silence. Anyway, one of the places this is going to change the game is sacks. Quarterback sacks are going to plummet. What does that mean? All of the sudden, it means that having a pass rush is still very important, not quite as important as just building a pocket to corral a quarterback.
So does the value of pass rushers go down because of this?
I almost think it does. And I could be wrong, but I almost think it does. Because basically you have, with this rule change, if it happens, and again, I think it's probably likely to, if it happens, you have created a world in which as soon as the pocket gets even mildly uncomfortable, Russell Wilson's just got to throw it 90 yards into row C, and he's safe. Now, if you're Max Crosby and you're coming off the edge and you close that pocket and you know you've got a hand on the jersey of the quarterback, that used to be a sack. Now it's not going to be. Now Derek Carr, now Patrick Mahomes, now they're going to wing that thing. A couple of quarterbacks who absolutely deserve to be mentioned in the same sentence. Now those elite passers are going to wing the ball into row 9. Just put some smoke on the back end of it. Sack totals are about to plummet. I don't think you're going to see any more defensive linemen that are going to win NFL Player of the Year award honors because, unfortunately, those honors are based on what I call visibility stats. There's visible stats and there's invisible stats. Visible stats are what win you awards. Invisible stats are what win you football games. So now I want to start looking for guys who create invisible stats because the visible stats are about to crash and burn for defensive linemen and for linebackers at this point. So I don't know, man. Like, I'm intrigued. I get it. I get wanting to protect the quarterbacks. It is a quarterback league. It is a quarterback mentality. The quarterbacks are the biggest stars in the game. And in a year in which we saw how much different did the AFC picture look without Joe Burrow in it? Dramatically, right? How much different would it have looked if Patrick Mahomes went down?
Well, definitely different.
Dramatically.
Yeah, because maybe then Josh Allen might have had a chance.
Yeah. How much different would it look if Josh Allen went down? Dramatically.
Not much difference.
Wait, I have to play a sound.
Don't wish ill on
There it
anyone,
is.
by the
The
way.
haters. They like to drink their haterade and eat their hater
There it is.
tots.
I knew I had something for that.
Well, if Josh Allen went down, they still would have lost like they did when he was there. I'm just pointing out historically.
Anyway. I got to reorganize this board.
Yeah,
dude.
well,
I gotta
the other
reorganize
thing
this
is
board.
now
It's taking too long.
Germany just got us again because I bet they own Taylor
Find
Swift.
out.
Yeah,
Find out. Germany owns Taylor Swift. So I think that for what they are trying to accomplish, that is making sure that Joe Burrow doesn't miss lengths of time, making sure that Lamar or Mahomes or Derek Carr, all elite quarterbacks, don't miss time. The flip side is it is yet another case of the league making rulings that are going to heavily benefit offenses and heavily injure defenses. And I think, I don't know if this is it, but there's a tipping point out there somewhere. The NBA right now thinks they're at it. And we probably need to get to this. The NBA is doing an investigation to find out if the association has reached a point where it is too heavily favoring offenses in today's 2024 NBA landscape. And at some point, we're going to have that same moment in the NFL. Like, yes, I know you got to keep your stars healthy. I know offensive players are your stars, and I know quarterbacks are the stars of the stars. But at some point, you're making it impossible to play defense. What's the point of playing defense if I can't get a sack? I'm dropping 9 every time. I can't sack them. I just drop 9. Hope I get a couple of picks. All right, what are your thoughts on that? 844-326-3663. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Smith.
All right, guys, quick live read. We're coming right back. Y'all stay right there.
or had lights on in their office.
Stream. Lights on or off when you're at work and when you're at work.
We're in an unusual situation, though. So if you have an office,
Lights on or off at work.
I mean, if you work in a grocery store, I'm guessing the lights are on. That's, I mean, you know, unless you're shopping by feel, could you do that? I think I got rice. It could be like baby food. I don't know. It's a stretch, Zach. I don't think you can consider Star Wars a fencing movie. It really is a stretch.
Not with that attitude, you can't.
I mean, I'm down with it, but I just don't think other people would be.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Exceptional, as always, to have you here on the show. 844-326-3663. That is the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone, should you wish to be a part of the radio broadcast today. We got a bunch of things we need to keep talking about on the radio broadcast. I want to go real quick with the Charlotte Hornets. They have got themselves a new president of basketball operations. And I respectfully I don't get it. I don't understand it. They go with Jeff Peterson. They hire him away from the New Jersey Nets. Now, this is interesting to me because on one hand, Jeff Peterson is being considered a rising star in the coaching ranks right now. He is considered a guy that has a real good future lined up ahead of him. On the other hand, he's coming out of the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets, I'm not going to say, are known for dysfunction right now, but they kind of are, right? That's just kind of what the Brooklyn Nets are and have been. They have had a number of failed experiments. That team right now is like, okay. That team's like okay at best at this point. Over in the East, the Nets are 11th. They are 23 and 36. Has this guy built a team that gives you any level of confidence in his ability to get to Charlotte, a place that right now, to me, has a good young core in it, but they ain't there yet, right? Is this the right hire? It feels to me it feels like it was a desperate hire. There were a lot of names in there that were very interesting, a lot of GMs that had a lot of success. Peterson is 35 years old, but he is a basketball lifer. He played college ball at Iowa, Arkansas, and Florida State. He landed his first job in the NBA with the Hawks in 2013. He was there until 2019, making his way from scout to director of scouting all the way up to assistant general manager in just 3 years. He joined the Nets as assistant GM in 2019. He was a part of the reason that the Nets had the Durant, Irving, Harden thing. But at the same time, quick, let's play an ad-lib game. Lonzo, give me one adjective to describe the Nets during the Irving, Durant, Harden days.
Train wreck.
I accept. Peterson and the Hornets have been connected since 2023 when Yahoo Sports' Jake Fisher reported that Peterson, a rising star amongst NBA executives, had been seen as a good fit in Charlotte. At the time, Fisher wrote, quote, Brooklyn assistant general manager Jeff Peterson has emerged as one of the most respected young executives in the NBA. Peterson is hailed for his authenticity, particularly in his ability to communicate up and down the organizational chart. In 2020, Peterson interviewed for the Pistons GM opening, and with a new ownership structure in Charlotte, should the Hornets ultimately move on from Mitch Kupchak after the final year of his contract, Peterson has become widely linked by league personnel as a possible next lead executive in Charlotte. I'm kind of 50-50 on this, and I know my job is not to ride the fence. My job is to have an opinion. My opinion is this. You got a young guy. You got an energetic guy. You've got a guy that is respected around the league. You've got a guy that is now known for not just his ability to make basketball decisions, but he is known for his ability to communicate those decisions and the reasoning behind them, not just up the food chain, but down it as well. I think that one problem that a lot of basketball teams have is that folks up towards the top of the organizational structure maybe don't really know how to talk to players. You got to think about it. Most players in the league are very young. Most players in the league are 19, 20, 21 years old. As Lonzo and I have made plenty of jokes about in the Fortress of Nerditude, it's almost like on the daily, I've got to go pop up Urban Dictionary to learn what the new word of the millennials means. Actually, I shouldn't say that because I am a millennial. What's the next one? Gen X?
Gen Z. You sound like you're brand new over there. What's up?
Exactly. That's the one we learned yesterday. Somebody texted and said, Rob, why you acting brand new? And I can say, despite the fact that
he's writing it down so he can remember it. I'm shocked I remembered it, but
while I am young and very, very hip, I had not heard brand new before. So I had to go Urban Dictionary that bad boy, and we found out what it means. And now I know what it means. So once again, hip to the lingo. Point here is,
if you are hip to the lingo, you're old.
Correct. That's the joke.
Because hip ain't been hip since the 70s, I believe.
I ain't been hip since the 70s.
And you didn't even exist then.
I wasn't even hip. I wasn't anything in the 70s. I was nary a glimmer in my father's eye in the 70s.
It might have been a dream. It's possible.
My dad was a kid in the 70s. My mom and dad had me.
Yeah, me too.
Young.
I was a kid in the 70s.
You were a kid in the 70s.
Yeah.
My dad was a kid in the 70s.
Yeah.
I was not anywhere close to being a thing.
As a kid in the 70s, I had a dream of having a son. So I'm saying maybe he did too.
All right, I get it. So you get a young guy, a guy that maybe does not have a ton of experience in this game so far. Maybe not a ton, but he does have some. And he has been around people who have some. And because he's been around that, and more importantly, as I mentioned a minute ago, he has got the ability to communicate to the next generation of players while being hip to the lingo. I think that gives you an advantage, because I'm not going to lie, and I don't say this with any level of disrespect, but like, do you guys think that Mitch Kupchak was able to walk into the locker room and form a for real relationship with, say, Lonzo Ball or Brandon Miller? Mitch Kupchak is almost 70 years old. Now, this is not like a ageist thing. It's just the reality of life.
It sounds like it, though. You're saying that an older person can't relate to a younger person.
Yes, because you're in different stations in life.
I don't think that's entirely true.
I think you can
find common ground with anyone.
I didn't say you couldn't find common ground, but your lives are different. A guy like Mitch Kupchak, who, again, I'm not a big Mitch Kupchak historian.
At one point, he knew ball.
Yes. I'm not saying Mitch Kupchak doesn't know ball. I'm saying Mitch Kupchak and Brandon Miller come from different places and different ages. I'm saying that Father Time remains undefeated in all things. It is not just you stop being a baller. I'm talking about the fact that I can have a conversation with a lot of people in their 40s because we kind of come from the same era. We have the same background. We were brought up on the same things, or at least around the same things, versus, look, I grew up with Scooby-Doo. The generation after me grew up with Blue's Clues, and the generation after them grew up with Bluey. We all got our dog that brought us up. But they are very, very, very different shows for very different generations. I, as a Scooby-Doo guy, can have some level of conversation with the Blues Clues guys because our generations butted up against each other. So there's this little Venn diagram slice in the middle of a few things that overlap. I can't have conversation with the Bluey generation. I don't know anything about them.
Because you hate children. If you didn't, you'd know of. I mean, Bluey's a great show. It really is. It can be very
I
emotional.
didn't say it wasn't. You're missing the point. I'm not talking about the dogs themselves. I'm talking about
I get it. I get it.
Generations raised by those particular eras of television can be separated and segregated. I'm a Saturday morning cartoon guy, but mine were good, and the new ones are trash. All right.
People think you're coming down on Bluey, man.
I'm not coming down on Bluey. What I'm saying is we are in the Bluey generation. I'm from the Scooby generation. The people before me were from the Huckleberry Hound generation.
No.
right?
No. We had Scooby-Doo first.
We all have our generations, and in said generations, you had the Scooby generation. You had the Astro generation, right? You had the Huckleberry Hound generation.
I'm just saying there are a couple guys on the stream that are your generation, and they're both Bluey guys. So
Yes, but most of them have kids, and then there's just Keegan being weird. But he also followed it up by saying my dog was Snoop Dogg, which it kind of was, right? Point here is it is harder, especially as you age, to communicate multiple generations.
I would say when you get into your 70s, possibly. I'm not there yet, so I don't know. But I think I can relate to people in their mid 20s.
I think you can relate to people in their mid 20s, and that's wonderful. So do I. But the reality is, Alonzo, again, you and I once a week have to pull up Urban Dictionary to find out what the hell the kids are talking about.
Yeah, but both of us could jump on a video game and play with said kids and relate to them in that way. What I'm saying is you can find common ground somewhere that would help you relate to that person.
You can find common ground. This is one of those spots where I'm going to say lovingly and respectfully, your idealism is shining through. You can find common ground. I can find common ground with anybody. But there is a difference between finding common ground and being able to have the same experiences and see the world the same way. Those are very different. I found common ground with my grandpa watching baseball because we both loved it. But when it came time to talk about the real world, we were galaxies apart on the way we saw things.
So explain to me how all that stuff affects basketball.
Because a guy like LaMelo Ball, like Brandon Miller, the foundational pieces of your basketball team, they may see the team one way. And Mitch Kupchak may see the team a different way. But Mitch Kupchak's the one that gets to make the decisions. And so if Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball, the foundation of your team, say, this is what we want to happen, and 70-year-old and therefore 51 or more years older than those guys who saw the game in the 80s and 90s and 70s, 80s, and 90s, he may not see the 2024 NBA. And if he creates a situation where he can't not find common ground, but genuinely, intimately work with these kids and communicate with them, because it's not just about, what I'm not saying.
Yeah, but there's a go between them. There's a go, but the coach who is somewhere in between the age of the two, that's the guy who needs to relate to the players. And then that coach who's closer to an age of Mitch Kupchak, those guys react. The guy who's over everything, how often do they actually interact with the players?
The coach is a wonderful go-between. If you got one, that's not to say everybody has one.
But this is the same argument you have about Jerry Jones, how he needs to stay out of it.
Yes.
So shouldn't Mitch Kupchak stay out of it?
Jerry Jones is an owner, not a general manager. General manager cannot stay out of it. His job is to general manage. Mitch Kupchak, as the president of basketball operations, has to be involved in basketball operations. And so if he is trying to basketball operate within that program and Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball go, no, dog, that's not how it works for us, and he can't find it, that's a problem. Now, if he is going to be the decision maker and he can't communicate with the people who the decisions make the most impact on, that's how you drive guys away from that franchise. And that is something I think you have seen in years gone by.
I could use
Charlotte.
a radio analogy, which you like to do. Our boss is the guy who relates to us. Our boss downstairs relates to our boss. Our boss is the guy who takes care of us, not our boss downstairs, even though he's the reason why our checks get paid.
I don't disagree. First off, our boss downstairs loves the bleep out of this show, so we're good.
And why shouldn't
the
he?
Point is, the boss downstairs, the boss over there makes decisions that impact us all the time. But the boss downstairs makes decisions that impact us every day in the biggest ways. So if he came up here one day and he said, guys, not that he would, but he comes up and he goes, guys, I want figure skating on the radio. And we go, dude, we do this every day. No, that's not going to work. And he goes, that's what I want on the show. Do it. Then guess what happens to you and I? We're gone. We're done. We don't want to be a part of that.
I don't know. Is it an Olympic year? It's
not a Winter Olympic year.
Yeah, but if it was, I mean, we'd probably be talking about that anyway. I'm just a killer today. What can I say?
That is like the 19th perfect analogy I've made today. And Lonzo is just killing every one of them. Unbelievable.
Hey, you knew this was going to happen like at 5:30 this morning.
I did. He walked in here with an axe to grind. Back after this to wrap up hour 3 of the Rob Brown Show with a fan upstate.
They probably did, Zach. They probably did. Stick in Germany.
Shane tweeted, I knew Taylor was a Nazi. Signed, the haters.
I haven't looked at the other hit that we got yesterday, but I should to see if it ends up the same way the one before, in the middle of a segment where there's no music.
I've got a meeting at 11 today, but when I get home, I'm going to research that because that can't happen. That can't happen. Those videos need to be.
Yeah, but it says they're pulled in territories, but it doesn't say like North America, so we don't know what territory. We were having some problems with some music being flagged, even though it's supposed to be whitelisted and should not be flagged. I've had this problem before where music sounds similar to someone else's music, but if we're told by the company that it's whitelisted, it's not our fault. People on the stream, is it better to have music going in and out so you know where the difference is, where the breaks happen, or is it okay to just not have music at all? Because I can take the music completely off. And we're also probably getting some echoes when no one's talking. So it's picking up the studio. So it might even be, we might be getting hit for music that's on commercials. But all the music names we're getting hit for, all are German. It's just weird. And I don't believe I have anything German sounding playing. I mean, if we were in a German club, I don't think the majority of this stuff would be playing, but I've never been to a German club.
Du hast.
Exactly.
Du hast Mist.
It could be samples, but I'm not using samples now. We are using some cuts, but we're getting caught for music, and they're specifically putting the music names down, and we're not playing any of those names. It's a weird world that I never thought I would have to be trying to sleuth out why we're getting, but this is all new. We're on the forefront of technology, yo. That's the thing. The music supposedly is written by our company because we have a division. So that music that's written by our company now, maybe it's similar to something they heard somewhere else, but that shouldn't be our fault. If we follow along what a normal radio show would do, we'll blame engineering.
99 Luftballons. My lead singer learned that song in German to be able to perform it in German. Nina.
Does he flash his armpit hair when he? I mean, because she's famous for that, you know.
The Rob Brown Show continues. Just a few more minutes left to go in this hour of the broadcast. If you want to jump on board, now's a spectacular time to do it. 71307 is the text line. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. We will read them on the air. You can tweet us at the Rob Brown Show at Lonzo on Word, or jump on the Renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone at 844-326-3663. We have asked the question of you today. Not what is your favorite sports movie? That's boring. What sport has the best movies as a sport as a whole? My gut check reaction was it's baseball. It's baseball. Baseball has comedies like Major League. It's got coming-of-age movies like The Sandlot. It's got inspirational movies like The Rookie. It's got everything that you could ask for. To me, it is baseball. But I also acknowledge that part of that is because I have a deep affinity for baseball that I don't really share with any other sport. Basketball is my first love, but I will tell you, while there are some great basketball movies out there, more often than not, with the exception of a few like Hoosiers, basketball movies are more about a guy who plays basketball, not a basketball movie with other stories attached, right? There are some of them. Like I said, like Hoosiers. But the majority,
what was one Shaq was in? Was that Blue Chips?
Blue Chips.
Yeah.
Great movie, by the way. Phenomenal movie. But again, how many more Blue Chips are there? Not a ton, right? There's movies like Love and Basketball. Real good movie, but that's about a guy and a gal who play basketball, not a basketball movie.
White Man Can't Jump. It's all about basketball.
One of the greatest movies of all time. Honestly, White Man Can't Jump, probably in my top 5 movies of all time. I love that movie. I think that movie is perfect. And if you have ever been in a position where you played on a basketball team that was demographically varied, let's say, you understand that there is a unique relationship that happens in basketball locker rooms that is illustrated perfectly by that movie.
All right, Space Jam. Definitely a basketball movie.
100%. 100%. And one of my favorites. For sure.
2 wasn't as bad as everyone acts.
I actually haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it was not. It was not. It was not that bad.
I suspect.
I mean, updated graphics. Just looking at how the interaction between the live action and the animated. I mean, just from that standpoint.
I suspect it's not. And for the record.
Sorry, I nerded out. No, I'm not.
For the record, the first movie in terms of blending live action and animated was remarkably ahead of its time. Remarkably.
Well, no, precedent had already been set with
Roger Rabbit.
Yes, Roger Rabbit. Yeah.
One of the greatest, again, one of the funniest movies of all time. Ted and Peltzer text the show.
That's Pelzer.
No, it's not. It's Peltzer. I have been corrected by the people of Peltzer.
Peltzer. Now, if you say it that way, then you're good.
Nope.
No offense, but I've been to Pelzer.
It's still Peltzer.
Yeah.
I've been there. Ted texts in. He says baseball is a magical sport.
Oh, that's why you're being nice to Ted. Okay, I get it now. All right. I see how that works.
Here's the thing. I'm not saying everybody does. I get what Ted is saying. I love basketball. It is my first love. When I say first love, I mean my first love. I love basketball since I was a kid. But there is, to me, there is something about baseball that makes it different. And I think it is, like I said, I think it is the sport itself, because it breaks down to 18 dudes' individual performances adding up to a team performance, versus basketball where it's a team performance where some guys stand out. I can't explain it.
Yeah, because your explanation could be any sport.
I don't think it can.
I do.
I don't think it can. I think baseball is, when it is pitcher and catcher versus batter, that is prime 1v1.
All right, so cricket, which is the same thing, should be on equal grounds with baseball then.
It would be if I was from India or Australia or New Zealand, where that was what I grew up with. I also
But
think
instead you're from Florida, where
this is-
baseball is king.
this is what I'm from the Southeast, but this is what I said earlier. This would be
Still
a very
Florida.
different conversation if we were in Minnesota, or Canada, because it would be hockey and there's no question about it.
Wait,
Sorry. There'd be no question about it.
So what you're saying is your point of view is directly because of the perspective that you gain from where you lived.
I think it is a
Which is-
regionally directed conversation.
Which is why you and I can have different perspectives, because we're from the opposite
Sure.
ends of the country.
Sure. Although,
If
again,
north south, I mean, we don't this
I-
country, not Canada.
I would argue with the Reds and the Guardians, Ohio's a baseball territory too.
No, it's not. It's
But-
football.
I think it is obviously it is a subjective conversation, but I think it is more about regional growth than it is about necessarily demographic or anything else. Basketball is my first love. As my mother hates to tell people, basketball was my first word, right? Thank you, Uncle Mike. It just was. I love that sport. But as much as I love basketball, my first love, and I would argue my favorite sport, there is something to me. And I think this is something that is ingrained into you, right? Right? It's the old expression, like you are not born any kind of way. It is instilled upon you. That's why different cultures have different moral and ethical codes, because it is ingrained upon you. It was ingrained upon me that there is something magic about baseball that other sports don't have. And so to me, that translates onto the old silver screen. I watched Sandlot with my nephew last week or 2 weekends ago. First time he's seen the movie. I've seen that movie 50 times. And at the end of that movie, when Benny the Jet is in the room with Darth Vader, and they are talking about the old 1920s Yankees, and he's talking about how he played with George, and they start talking about the 20s, the 27 Yankees specifically. There is something about that moment that harkens back to me having fights with my grandpa about how much it's so much harder to hit a baseball in the 90s than it was in the 20s,
See,
grandpa.
it's generational for you because you had influences. I had no sports influence.
That's what I'm saying.
I had no sports influences at all. I decided that football was it for me. It's what I gravitated towards. So football movies are going to be king for me. I didn't have someone who set me down and watched this movie and did I wish I did. I would rather have your situation than what mine was, where sports was nothing. And I'm, like I said, the first one, as far as I know, who ever played a sport in high school from my family.
Sure. And again, all of this is going to be dictated by your background, which, by the way, harkens back to the last segment we did, which is why I have said I am good with them, even though I don't necessarily love the experience or the background of the guy that they hired. The fact that the Hornets hired a 35-year-old lifelong basketball player, that guy's going to be able to communicate with a 21-year-old lifelong basketball player better than a 70-year-old man. The Hornets made a good call.
I thought you were hearkening back even further and saying your background is Waffle House, but you know.
It's not Sports Flash. Oh, I should have said this Sports Flash comes to you covered, smothered, whatever.
And chunked. Ah, wow. Did it again. Yeah, and Chuck, you messed me up. Iowa women's basketball megastar Caitlyn Clark has made her decision. Clark announced yesterday she has decided to enter this year's WNBA draft, and it's likely no coincidence that her hometown Indiana Fever hold the #1 overall pick. Clark had the option to use her COVID year for one more season. Her final home game is Sunday, and tickets are already selling for $500 minimum. One of the most popular and recognizable names in NASCAR is on the move from one booth to another after taking this season off from TV. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is projected to move from NBC to TNT. And make sure you tune in tomorrow at 1:30 as the Furman men's basketball team takes on Mercer in the final game of the regular season, right here on your home for Paladins football and basketball, The Fan, Upstate. It's looking a little sketchy near the end, but I pulled it out and hit the post because, not saying luck had anything to do with it, but, it's getting what your surroundings are and, it's, stuff like that. And I'd like to thank all the little people that I stepped on to get here because they're short. See, I know you guys are saying Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I wouldn't count that, even though you're right, it is martial arts. I would, however, count the Karate Kid because the Karate Kid tournament at the end, which is competition, which is sport. So Karate Kid, definitely. Karate Kid 1. 2, although 2 could have been considered a blood sport because of Sato. I think they brought the tournament back in 3, but after 2, it might as well not exist. And to that end, Over the Top is a sports movie. I don't know if you guys remember Over the Top, which is Sylvester Stallone's arm wrestling movie, because arm wrestling is a sport. Mortal Kombat. That's a good. Mortal Kombat. It is a sport, and I don't know. And I don't know an arbiter that could help me. Well, I do know one, but he's probably never seen it before because Mortal Kombat might as well be wrestling anyway. So I was saying that Karate Kid 1 was definitely a sports film. Because, yeah, 2 not. So which one was the one with the Kumite? Was that Bloodsport with Jean-Claude Van Damme? Yeah. That's a sport because Kumite was a sport.
I always thought Bloodsport is a sports movie. Oh, crap. There's some Mario in it, like.
Also, Best of the Best, sports movie. I don't know if you know Best of the Best. It was a martial arts movie with Eric Roberts in it, and they made a couple of them. The first one was had Sean Penn's brother, the fat one. I forget his name. Chris Penn, yeah. And my favorite line from that movie, Houston. If you saw the movie, you know why I said that. You should, Zach, because meet me halfway across the sky came from that movie. That was a great Kenny Loggins impersonation. You're welcome.
Hour number 4, the final hour of the Rob Brown radio broadcast goes now. Welcome back, my friends. It is the Fan Upstate. I am the great. No, he's the great one, Lonzo. I am Rob Brown. I'm not that full of myself. Woo! I I am full of myself, but not that full of myself.
Lonzo is a superstar.
He does.
I am that full of myself.
Where does that come from?
Where does what come from?
That clip.
From whence does it come?
From whence does it come?
Lonzo's a superstar. I've explained this to you before.
I know you haven't. I forgot.
It's starring Oka.
Aha.
And he's talking about Lonzo Ball.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. And he said it like years ago, and I took it and kept it because I knew that someday I would be able to use it, and here we are. So I mean, yeah, I mean that's the thing. In radio, you hear some things you're like, I can't use this right now, but maybe there will come a day, there will come a time where this will be relevant and I'd be able to use it.
Nobody's perfect, but I am very, very close.
Just like as soon as you heard that quote 2 days ago or whenever it was, I said, oh great. He just got that. He's going to use that.
We, ladies and gentlemen, have a few more things to run through on the radio broadcast. But before we do, let's get back for just the briefest of moments.
Said, but sorry.
There it is. I love that clip so much. I love that show so much. It's just art.
I don't think I've watched an entire episode of it,
so
but
good.
but they're in the lexicon of most people. Although I don't know that kids today would know who that is, but I could be wrong. I don't relate to them, so how would I know?
Let's get back. It's true. It's true. You don't have to like it, but it's true. All right.
You do realize that I work with a bunch of kids, so you're saying that none of those kids get me. They just pretend and they're nice to me because I'm their boss.
How many 20-year-olds?
Is that what you're saying? When they started out, some of them were in their 20s.
Fair enough.
Yes.
All right. Let's get to
I remember
this.
Diesel in his 20s. He didn't have a beard.
Somebody once showed me a picture of baby Diesel in the before times. It's pretty spectacular. And I'm not I'm not entirely sure that he wasn't wearing eyeshadow in the picture.
I mean, think of the music he listens to. It's perfectly acceptable. And it might have been like during Green Day's heyday, but I don't think he was into it. It was more of Limp Bizkit probably kind of thing.
First off, and
yeah,
so,
we were talking about a look.
point.
I'm not being critical of Limp Bizkit.
No, Diesel was not in the Limp Bizkit phase. He was very in the like denim jacket, no sleeves under it. So like Diesel 100% was the guy that was trying to keep Judas Priest relevant.
No, I don't think he was ever that guy.
I bet he was.
I think he's double bass pedal the whole way.
Let's get to this college football expansion talk. Reports started swirling. Tactical cough button.
No, yeah, it missed
I missed
for
the
sure.
tactical cough button. The discussion right now ongoing is for further expansion of the college football playoffs. Should come as a surprise to exactly and precisely no one listening to this show. I told you when they expanded it the first time to the 12 teams that it was an inevitability that they would be expanding it further. We just did not know. Then we found out within literally 3 days that there were already ongoing discussions to expand it to 14 teams. Lonzo and I don't agree on much today, apparently, but we do agree this thing's going to 16 like soon. So the next round of expansion of the college football playoffs seems to be not just going to 14 teams out of the gate, but it also seems to be that they will be making a different format for the playoffs, a format which will see, again, apparently, it will see the SEC and the Big Ten both receiving 3 automatic qualifier positions. It will apparently also see the Southeastern Conference having 3 automatic qualifier positions. It will see the Atlantic Coast Conference receiving 2 automatic qualifier positions. It will see the Big 12 receiving 2 automatic qualifier positions. It will see the highest ranked group of 5 conference champion receive an automatic qualifier position. And it will see Notre Dame, should they be ranked inside of the top 14 when the season comes to its conclusion, receiving an automatic qualifier position. That would mean, if you are doing the math, and if you're not, don't worry about it. Lonzo did it for you earlier in the show. That if Notre Dame is ranked inside the top 14, which is, by the way, I really want to know how they arrived at 14 being the magic number.
I was getting ready to look at this to see what the average at the end of the year, where they were ranked at the end of the year every year, and they went, okay, they've been 14 or higher every single year. So 14 is pretty safe. This is how we get them in no matter what. So we're going to go with 14. That's what I'm guessing.
I would not be shocked, to be honest with you. I'm interested in this because it's a very interesting spot to be in, because on one hand, Notre Dame is without a doubt one of the most well-known college football brands in history. Sure. On the other hand, the rights to Notre Dame football are already owned by the Peacock, by NBC.
All right, by the way. Okay, 2023, 13, 2022, 5, 2021, 9, 2020, 10. Not, okay, so 13 is the lowest. Oh, down in 2013, they were ranked 14, 2014, 17. So 17 is the lowest rank in the last 10 years. So,
and the average has been around 11.
So
I'm guessing.
So 14 is it's a good number.
It's a good number.
They got a good shot of getting Notre Dame in no matter what, unless they just really tank it.
So the Irish get in if they are 14 or better. The interesting thing to me is money being the driving factor of every conversation. Notre Dame puts money on the table by being in. They're just a brand for sure.
Do you know any Notre Dame fans?
I know plenty of Notre Dame fans.
All right.
As a matter of fact,
your circle is quite large. So I guess I don't know any Notre Dame fans. Or anybody in the audience listening right now a Notre Dame fan? I'm just curious.
I guarantee you there are. I guarantee you.
Text line 71307, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or X.
In fact, I know there is at least one, because earlier when I had the audacity,
how dare you, sir,
to say something negative about Rudy, we immediately got a text from a dude that's like, I met Rudy. He's not that big. Your source is a liar, which I looked. It turns out my source was a liar because Rudy's like 5'7". But then again, Rudy played football at Notre Dame in the 60s, 70s. 5'7" back in the day was like 5'11" now. Like, it ain't big, but let's not pretend it wasn't.
According to the internet, so it's got to be true. 1975 was when Rudy played.
Yeah. I think Rudy was probably a pretty average dude. Either way, point is, that movie's kind of fake. Anyway, the point is that I had a second to make a comment full of audacity about one of the most famous and iconic football movies of all time, and immediately was hit on the text line by one or two noted Notre Dame fans in the audience. Respect to the Irish. Thanks for being here.
The average size of an NFL offensive lineman back in the late 60s and 70s was 250 to 260 pounds.
That's my size.
Yeah. So Rudy might have been a little less than average back then.
Yeah, but like, let's not pretend he was, whole scale runt. Let's not pretend he didn't belong.
The average height in America for a male, I think, is still like 5'8". So, I mean, I don't know how much that's changed.
I mean, NFL defensive backs today are only like 5'11".
Well, you and I are giants in this building. So, I mean, we walk around amongst the shorts. But,
I can reach the top of the fridge. DX it.
Not only can we reach it, we can see the top of it.
So
you need to clean that, by the way, people.
the setup as it stands right now, 3 SEC teams get AQs, 3 Big Ten teams get AQs. There's 6. 2 ACC teams get AQs. There's 8. 2 Big 12 teams get AQs. That's 10. 1 for Notre Dame and 1 for the group of 5. That means ballparking it any given year, depending on the success of Notre Dame that year, you are going to have either 3 or 4 at-large positions. 3 or 4. And so my question is, if this is the format we are going to go with, what did we solve? What did we solve? I will say this. I would rather be having the who truly got left out argument about teams that are at large ranked 7 or 8 or 9 than about a 13-0 Power 5 conference champion getting left out. Okay? I would at least rather have the conversation about teams that are further on down the list than about teams that are, again, undefeated Power 5 conference champions. But I still think you've created a situation where, especially with the SEC getting 3, there are going to be years where, like, you have 2, maybe 1 really good SEC team. And then you got a bunch of teams that are all kind of round robin knocking each other off in the regular season. And you might end up in a spot where you got to leave out of Cincinnati or Louisville or whoever else. And if that ends up being the case, like, your expansion for the sake of money didn't really do a whole lot for us. Now, again, I think that's more likely to be rare. That's more likely to be rare than it is to be common, sure. But it was also more likely to be rare starting this year that an undefeated Atlantic Coast Conference champion was left out in favor of a not undefeated Southeastern Conference champion. That was going to be rare. In fact, it was supposed to never happen, but it did happen. It was supposed to be rare. It happened. It happened, and it turned into one of the most controversial decisions in recent college football history. So, do you think that there is a point in time down the line that this structure, 3 from the SEC, 3 from the Big Ten, 2 from the Pac-12, 2 from the ACC, 1 from the Group of 5, and Notre Dame, if they're top 14, that ends up with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That ends up with 11 AQs, which means in a 14-team playoff, obviously you have 3 spots left. Are we going to be right back where we started? Are we going to be right back where we started, where we are having controversial conversations about teams getting left out? Or is that just the nature of the beast? The nature of the beast is always going to be that somebody's going to be mad, that somebody got to stay home, while somebody with a very similar resume to them gets their opportunity. Listen, I'm still very pro-expansion. And I'm pro-expansion because, as I mentioned, I would rather be having the argument about teams that are ranked 7, 8, 9, 10 than I would about teams that are ranked 3, 4, and 5. I just don't know that having 14 spots and 11 of them are 11 automatic qualifiers. Feels like a lot. I can fix it, Lonzo. You ready? Go to 16, 5 automatic or 5 at large. Now I feel a lot better.
See, the thing is, I agree they're going to go to 16, but there'll be problems found with 16. There'll be problems found with 20, with 32. There's going to be problems. There's going to be people unhappy with how it's formatted, how it's set up. But as long as the majority of the people are happy, that's all that matters, I guess.
And I think that's it. Remember back in 2017 when the University of Central Florida won the national championship? Remember that?
No, I don't.
So,
because it never happened.
UCF in 2017 went undefeated and won the national championship. Except for, I'm the only one who says that. Because the overwhelming majority of us made an unspoken agreement that we all didn't want to say it into a microphone, but UCF wasn't beating Alabama, right? There was no world in which UCF was going to beat Alabama. And so we all kind of accepted they were going to get bailed on. I think there is obviously a difference between 2017, the UCF Golden Knights, and the 2023 Seminoles of Florida State. Is it likely without Jordan Travis that the Noles would have beat Michigan or Washington or Alabama? Is it likely? That's not likely. Is it impossible? Would any of you put up a paycheck that the Noles wouldn't have won? I wouldn't. That defense was spectacular this year. That is why, by the way, if you watched the combine yesterday, you saw guys like Brendan Fisk out there blowing it up because that team had talent last year. So anyway, just some thoughts. Just some thoughts. I want your reaction to it. 71307. Shoot us a text. Start that text with FAN, FAN. We will read them on the air. You can, texter said Rudy and Paul Bunyan are basically the same people.
Except there's no big blue ox, I don't think.
I mean, no, but that's just as made up as Rudy's story.
I get it now.
Yeah.
It's just, thank
Fairy
you.
tale.
Thank you
Fairy
for
tale. Sorry, tall tale.
Yeah.
Tall tale.
Which is a totally different thing from a fairy tale. Because tall tales don't have fairies in them, I think.
Do fairy tales require fairies?
I believe so. The fae of some sort. I don't know.
All right, we've nerded out too much. We got to take a break. Rob Alonso, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is the Fan Upstate. Hey, hey, hey. That's what's up.
That is what's up, by the way. In case you didn't know, that's what's up.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I got time.
All right, guys, I'll be right back. Give me 45 seconds. Stay right there.
I don't know. Maybe, possibly. Maybe Buddy will be his best man. Got to remember, I still need to go to Odyssey University.
$10, $20, even $30,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. Stop struggling to stay afloat and call Accredited Debt Relief today for faster relief. Depending on your financial situation, you may qualify for a
speakers about to go out.
higher reduction in your monthly payments and only have to make one.
I'm going to turn this up for a second.
Accredited Debt Relief has helped over 300,000 qualified.
I just want to see if that still did it when
over
it was
$1
louder.
billion in debt, earning them an A+ rating.
Yeah,
by
it's
the
still
Better
doing a
Business
little.
Bureau.
The speaker's going to go. Probably like 35 years old anyway. So
And see how much you can save. There's no obligation. So call now.
either that or there's a bug in my right ear. It could be. You hear it?
That's 800-354-4554.
You'd have to be over here because it's directed like right out my right ear. It's definitely going fuzzy. I'm just going to guess someone in the afternoon was playing music in here and had it really loud and blew out the speakers. Daggum kids and the rock and roll music.
Or visit their website at smithandjames.com and look your best with Smith & James Fine Men's Clothing.
During Staples Sit-a-thon, you can save up to $180 on select chairs, desk chairs, computer chairs, even gaming chairs. In-store only. Offer ends 3/2. See associates for details. Stop by Staples today and grab a seat.
Take control of your listening experience with Rewind on the Odyssey app. Missed a jaw-dropping moment? No worries.
The Odyssey app makes it easy.
With Rewind, you can relive big moments from Mark Ryan, Rob Brown, Jim Rome, and more. Don't miss a beat. Just hit Rewind with the Odyssey app on the Fan Upstate. No need to check the clock. It's Rob Brown time. Now, weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on the Fan Upstate.
P Digits in the stream chat. You can watch the stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate. Search The Fan Upstate or The Rob Brown Show on YouTube and The Rob Brown Show on Twitch if you want to watch the show. P Digits said they should have stopped at 8 playoff spots. The conference championship game will mean less as they add more playoff teams. I agree with you that I would say the if you are going to go ultimately with if you were going to go with 3 automatic qualifiers from the SEC and the Big Ten, realistically, the conference championship game means nothing. It means nothing. Here's the thing. I can work you up a way that if a conference has 2 automatic qualifiers, I can work you up a way. In fact, you don't even have to go back that far. The year that Pittsburgh was Pittsburgh went to the ACC title game and they were 8-4 that year. It is absolutely a possibility that, I don't know, Lonzo, Michigan wins the Big Ten at 12 or at 13-0. Iowa comes in second in the Big Ten, but they're 8-4. And Ohio State's 11-1.
I was going to say that's like normal.
Yeah.
That's what that is. So when the third qualifier thing came in, that's automatically what I thought of. But that would be more so for the second place in the Big Ten, who always is not that good. I mean, good enough to win that division, but it's just it's not that way in the SEC because both teams are usually really good.
Usually. But I could absolutely see a year where you end up with, let's say, Alabama wins let's say Georgia wins the East at 12-0, and Alabama wins the West at 10-2, and then over there in the East, you have lulls. I know Florida finishes at 11-1 with only a loss to Georgia, and let's say it was a 1-point loss. It's like a 35-34 walk-off loss or something like that. I could make an argument that an 11-1 team whose only loss was by a point to the eventual conference champion should get an AQ berth ahead of the team who played for a conference championship but lost multiple games in the process. Like with a 2-team AQ for the big dog conferences, there is still room to kind of wiggle a little bit and have the conference championship mean something. Because in that same situation, if Georgia loses to Alabama, Alabama is, let's say, 10-2 or 9-3, but they won the West and they beat an undefeated Georgia team, Alabama gets the AQ spot. Now you have 1 spot left. Are you going with a Georgia team that lost to Bama, but maybe say they get blown out, whereas Florida lost to Georgia by 1?
Stop. All right, stop it. Stop it. Out of all the ridiculous hypotheticals and analogies you've had, this Friday, the 1st of March, saying that Florida is going to be 11-1. I mean, come on.
I mean, I'm just.
What kind of fantasy world are you living in?
I'm just trying to make something up here.
That's exactly what it's going to be, because Florida, I mean, you might as well put Vanderbilt in there.
Poor Vandy. Vandy should get some love too, man.
Well, you should put them in your hypothetical rather than Florida.
Noted Florida Gator fan, my little brother, just texted and said, man, I used to like Lonzo.
Later on, Rob can divulge the real reason for the Florida. Not hate.
Yeah, it's a secret.
Yeah, nobody here listening knows what I'm doing.
It's a secret.
They cannot figure that out at all. Just like how that other show suddenly hates Ohio State for some reason. Yep, no reason at all.
That I can confirm it has always been that way.
Oh, has it?
Everyone in the SEC hates you.
Okay.
Everyone in the conference hates you.
All right, fine.
That's not new.
No, I would like to believe that it's my fault, especially on that other show. It's my fault.
I know you would. It's not. For the record, I don't hate the expansion to 14 teams. I think there is a number where it is too much. I think there is a number where it's too much. Just like in basketball.
We're not going to know till we see it, though. That's the thing.
No, I don't necessarily agree, because I think with the basketball tournament, we're at 68 right now with the play-in games. But 64 is the number. 64, I can say, I think with some level of confidence, any more than 64 is watered down. Any more than 64 is too many teams. I am fine to go with 14 for like 3 or 4 years, and let's see how we feel. And if a handful of years from now we go, let's go to 16. Let's add 2 more. And we'll give the 1 and 2 seeds a bye. I'm totally fine with that too, but I want to see what the 14 looks like before we decide to jump up to 16. All I'm saying is
let's see the 12 before we see the 14.
Also true. Also true. I think that we are in the process of creating a bit of a beast here. I think we're in the process of creating a bit of a beast here that I just don't know how many and which problems it is solving. The only thing that it is doing that I can say this is the definitive boon here is that if we are going to have discussions about who is getting left out, I would rather the discussions be about the teams that are sitting around that 12 mark, that 13, 14, 15 mark, than about a team who's sitting at 3, 4, 5. I'd rather have, if we're still going to have that discussion, but I feel less bad, not bad, but less bad about leaving out a team that's 16 than I do about leaving out a team that's 5 and should be 4 or 3. That's the difference here. So, again, I think we're in the right direction. And at the end of the day, that's primarily what we're looking for here yet. So, your thoughts on all this? The Atlanta Falcons, sorry. We can talk Braves if you want. The Atlanta Falcons have been the last couple of days the odds-on favorite not to make a trade for Justin Fields, although it is part of it. Right now on Vegas books, you can make a bet as to which team Justin Fields is on next year. The Falcons have jumped the Bears as that team. The Falcons are now, depending on what book you look at, but on a handful, if not most books, the Falcons are right now the team with the shortest odds to have Justin Fields on the roster next year. That is, once again, something that I told you last week. Atlanta wants a quarterback. They have to do, effectively, a cost-risk analysis in order to make the decision. To me, if you ask me today which guy I think is going to have a better career when it's all said and done, Jaden Daniels. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be better than Justin Fields long term. But that is not a slight against Justin Fields. I think he's going to be better than Caleb Williams. I think he's going to be better than Drake May. I think he's going to be better than Michael Penix Jr. Hell, there's probably 6, 7, 8 quarterbacks who were QB1 on opening day this year that I think Jaden Daniels is ultimately going to be better than. I think the kid is going to be an absolute stud at the National Football League level. I made the prediction last week, though it does not look like we are going to get to find out if I was correct or not. But I made the prediction last week that if Jaden Daniels ended up as an Atlanta Falcon next year, the Atlanta Falcons would win the NFC South. Now, again, that ain't saying much. It's a real bad division. But I would also make the argument that we said the same thing about the AFC South last year, and C.J. Stroud was your offensive rookie of the year, and justifiably, deservedly so. I think Jaden Daniels is the way to go, but it's a huge cost. Even if you're going to throw, like even if you could guarantee me today, that the Atlanta Falcons jump to 3 and get Jaden Daniels, there's going to be a number of teams vying for this guy. The consensus belief is that Caleb Williams is the number 1 overall pick. Although, by the way, again, if you're following them, the Vegas odds have been dropping that Caleb Williams is the number 1 overall pick. A lot of folks out in Vegas are losing the belief that that is the guarantee that it was a number of weeks ago. Those odds were like minus 5,000 a couple of weeks ago. They're at like 2,000 now. It's still high. And part of that is because the Bears are, from what we understand, shopping the number 1 pick out there. The problem is the Chicago Bears want a Mike Ditka for Ricky Williams caliber trade package for that guy. They basically want all your draft picks this year, all your draft picks next year, your soul, your firstborn son, your kingdom. They want it all for this guy. And I'm going to tell you right now, I absolutely do not see Caleb Williams being a guy that is worth not mortgaging, flat out giving away your entire future for. He does not strike me as that level of a quarterback. For the record, I don't know that Jaden Daniels strikes me as that much quarterback, and I think Jaden Daniels is going to be a star at the next level, a superstar at the next level. And because of that, if I'm Atlanta, the highest I'm willing to go, well, the highest I'd be willing to go is 2 to Washington, but Washington's taking a quarterback. By the way, speaking of Washington, speaking of the Commanders, Josh Harris, their new owner, apparently, Lonzo, in his first year of ownership, Josh Harris is at the Combine. Do you know what he's doing at the Combine?
He's in the middle of interviews and things like that, and partaking in something he just does he have a history of being in the NFL?
No.
All right. So if you just bought something like a team and there are rooms and places that you never could go, but now you can, you wouldn't do that? I absolutely would. I'd be in everything. Doesn't mean that I'm going to be there every single year, but that very first year, I'm definitely doing everything. I think people are jumping to conclusions and go, oh, it's Jerry Jones. Daggum Jerry Jones again. Maybe he's just, again, you just bought that team. I'm going to go be in everything.
That is, respectfully, a terrible decision. Wanting to be involved does not mean that you are going to be good at being involved, and there are some times that you shouldn't just jump and find out.
Sample size very small as far as owners who get involved. And so I think you're going by, well, this guy did it and this guy did it, so there's no way that this he's obviously going to be going to be a problem.
Name me a successful one.
I only know a couple owners, period, as far as NFL goes.
I know a lot of owners.
I don't know how much Clark Hunt is involved. But whatever he is involved, I don't have a problem with it. I saw a thing where he has a 2-story apartment inside the stadium.
Sure. I think Dave Tepper does too.
Yeah,
Or not an apartment, but like a big office.
Yeah, but this is like a house, like live there type thing.
I mean, listen, if I owned a team, let me be real clear. If I owned a team, would I be up in the middle of it? Yeah, absolutely. Making decisions? No, because I don't know how to do that now.
And you don't know that he's doing that either. He's just there and he's in meetings and things.
He is involving himself in the interview process.
How dare he do that?
Okay.
I don't get the offense here. I really don't. You own the thing, go be a part of it. It doesn't mean he's going to do it going forward. It's a very first experience. I'm serious. If I bought something, and I know you're the same way, you bought it, you're going to go try to be in everything because all those things that are cool. I wonder what happens when this is going on. Well, now I can go find out what happens.
That is wonderful when you're playing a video game or driving a new car. It is not wonderful when, first off, you have billions with a B of dollars on the line, A. B, you have other investors who have millions of dollars on the line. And C, you have tens of thousands of fans who are trusting you to make your thing good when you are not a guy who's even been around. Now, if it comes out that Josh Harris is going to these meetings and he's just sitting there, he's just listening, okay, that's one thing. Even still,
you just hired coaches and guys that are going to be asking these questions. Maybe you want to go in and see how they do things.
Okay, that's what I just said.
And see if they're doing it the way you think it should be done.
That's what I just said. If he is sitting in on the meetings, that's one thing. Here's my problem. Number one, without justification, I don't believe that a billionaire has the capability to just sit there and not, when he is the most important guy in the room, and not involve himself, A. But B, here's the other thing. The combine is meant for one thing. The combine is meant to strip these players down to the nuts and bolts of what makes them, figure out who the hell they are and how they fit in your program. And I don't know about you, but if I walk into a room and the owner of the boss of the business I work for is in there, I act a little different than I do if it's just me and the fellas I work with. When the four of us on the air are all in one room, I act one way. I act a different way when I'm around bosses X, and I'm certainly going to be acting a different way if a corporate overlord in his suit and tie is in the building.
All right. For the most part, I don't. For the most part, I act the same way if I go down the hall than I do if we're in the office.
I'm not talking about down the hall. Down the hall is the head coach and the general manager. I'm talking about if somebody from Baltimore flies down here in a suit and tie, a guy that directs the directors who direct the directors that direct me, that guy shows up. I'm not walking in the room screaming, hooting, hollering, and dropping wrestling references until I get to know this cat. My point is, if the owner of the franchise is in the building,
Rob,
the player's probably going to act differently.
Rob, if you walk in the room and the owner of the Washington Commanders are in there, would you recognize them?
Do you think?
No, I'm just saying. Would you recognize him, or would you walk in and see a bunch?
Yes,
would you?
I would. If you're I've been looking at his picture for 24 hours.
If you're a player getting ready to go in the NFL, you walk in there, a bunch of guys in the room. There's a good shot they don't know who that guy is.
Sure. And what's definitely going to happen is they're going to walk in a room with Adam Peters, and he's going to go, "Hey, this is our head coach, and this is our strength and conditioning coach. Don't just ignore that guy over there. That's the owner."
That, by the way, is a possibility, or they introduce him. I don't know. I've never been in that room, but you know what? If I owned a team, I would be, because I always want to know what goes on in that room. And you're not going to change my mind about that. And
I can't change your mind about anything.
Yeah, you've changed my mind about a lot of things. You have. Like
Waffle House being delicious.
Well, I listen. I already knew that, but depending on certain hours of the night,
at 3:30 in the morning. It's best at 3:30 in the morning.
I don't know. It affects your stomach worse that late. I've made worse choices than Waffle House.
At 3:30 in the morning. I have already ingested things that are bad.
Have you already? Yeah. Okay. And I used to work at night, so I would get off around that time of night, and there's only so many things open. So you're going to go try all of those things, find out which one is the worst, and Waffle House was not the worst.
I do love some Wahoo. I really do. All right.
But as you get older, your digestive it changes, and certain
Why
kinds
you
of
always
grease.
go foghorn leghorn
I'm
or
not.
like
I'm
that
not.
stork attorney from the cartoons
I'm
when
not.
you do your old
I'm
man
not.
voice?
There was an old black man who lived on the corner of Coble Road, who was the last guy who I delivered newspapers to. Hey, you come on up in here. You want money again? I ain't got no money for you. Just give me the paper for free. You don't want me. Come on now. Come on. Give me that paper for free. That's who I'm talking like. And I can see that guy in my head, even though it was, 40 years ago, 45 years ago. That guy, his voice was so distinctive, and the things he said and how he said them so distinctive to an impressionable preteen or teenager that he's just always with me.
I believe you, but you sound like the Southern Stork lawyer from Futurama. It's the same voice.
I've never watched Futurama.
Oh, it's a great show. Great show. We have to take a break. Josh Harris, get the hell out of the draft room. Okay? You don't belong there. You're an owner. Go sit in your ivory tower, just like I'm telling David Tepper and Jerry Jones and everybody else. Go sit in your ivory tower, count your $100 bills, wipe your butt with them or whatever it is you do, because money's not real to you, and enjoy being a rich fat cat. And let the football guys do the football things. You don't even need to be there. You don't. Hire people you trust and let them do the thing. Otherwise, you're just going to be a knockoff Jerry Jones. You're going to be a dollar store.
Hear that,
Jerry
Steve?
Jones.
You don't belong up here. Don't come upstairs and sit in this room. You don't belong up here. You just stay down there.
Again,
stay down there, Steve.
If the boss rolled up in here, which he never has, and started saying, Rob, talk figure skating, I would say, respectfully, that's a terrible idea.
And I would say historically or now.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate.
I should text Steve right now and ask him to come over here and ask you to talk figure skating. Of course, I should have did that without telling you that. We'll see if he's even here. No, he's not here. You don't think I would send that text?
I have no doubt you would send that text.
I don't know. I've got two reasons to visit Odyssey University. I also got awarded. Did you get awarded 30 points?
I did.
Yeah. It's because it's Employee Appreciation Day. You know what? I appreciate you today, Rob. Today more than any other day.
More than any other day. I appreciate you every day.
Don't you wish you had, are those maracas, the things that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, man, stop with all your Latino heat over there. Free.
I do want to go home and watch Star Trek and The Price is Right.
You know what I want? I want you to lose at wrestling this weekend so you can finally come back on the show and get shot by the new gun. I want you to be the inaugural. The joy, the pleasure. We might triple our viewership on that.
I would take it like a man, but it will not happen.
Of course.
I stay alive.
This one I think might sting a little bit. More so, not as much as the one with the balls, but you know. I might bring in my Nerf guns after the show because I got some in there and just start shooting the ostrich. I might go live doing it. Would that be offensive?
I think it'd be hilarious, and that's more important.
Still got a little bit of time. You can plug your weekend show.
Want to remind you, coming up tomorrow on the BetQL Network, hashtag shameless self-promotion and hashtag inspired shameless self-promotion. Bet for the Cycle, hosted by former Major League Baseball player Cody Decker and yours truly. And oh, by the way, while I got you, guess who won this week's Parlay v Parlay Challenge? That is 2 out of the last 3, 3 out of the last 4. Poor Mario. He's got to undergo it. Last week, he had to rock cornrows for 3 days.
That had to bother you. The cornrows had to bother you because he looked good with the cornrows.
Yeah, it did bother me.
Yeah. you guys wanted, I bet I had to hurt though. I mean, because that's so tight.
Oh, yeah. We got to about the 3.5 hour, and he was like, all right, I have a dramatic headache now, which made total sense. So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, every week on the show, Deck and I play along with our lovely Padawan of a producer, Hating Ass Mario. We play a little game called Parlay v Parlay Challenge. And at the end of the show, what we do is we both, us, Cody Decker and myself, and the production team put together a 3-leg parlay. And the if either team hits their parlay and the other team loses, they have to go through some sort of punishment. Usually that punishment, exclusively that punishment involves some level of either pain, discomfort, or humiliation. 3 weeks ago, we realized we had gone like 4 weeks, 5 weeks without a winner. And so as a punishment, all of us had to eat 75 chicken nuggets live on the air during the show.
Nuggies.
It was both delicious and awful at the exact same time. Last week, Mario had to go cornrows. This week, we haven't decided what he has to do, Zoe, but it's going to get bad for Mario.
Make sure you tune in tomorrow to find out, because long hair don't care. He'll be all right. All right, the first thing that's Xing today is Jack Black.
Jack Black's on a social media blitz right now as we all get prepared for Kung Fu Panda 4, which 100% I'm going to go see. I don't care. Those movies are fun. I like them. They're entertaining. They're engaging. And Jack Black is an American icon. That's all I have to say.
He's doing a video of him singing a
Backstreet Boy song.
No.
NSYNC song.
No.
98 Degree song.
Oops, I did it again. That's
Britney
not the song.
Spears
He's
song.
doing a Britney Spears song. I don't think it's that song. I forget which one, but it's an amazing rendition.
With Kyle.
Yes,
from
in the
Tenacious
background.
D.
Yeah.
Please, guys, go back on tour. I'm begging you.
I wouldn't even mind going and seeing
I
that,
love
because those guys are very
Tenacious D.
talented. Speaking of that kind of humor, Animal House is Xing right now.
What am I? What's it? I don't know what to tell you. We talked earlier about how some things lose their luster from generation to generation. Movies, obviously, are one of them. If you are a youngster, listen to Uncle Rob and Uncle Zoe.
Not too young.
Go watch Animal House. It's one of the greatest pieces of comedy ever.
All right.
put together.
So from what I can tell, the reason why it's Xing is some people can't believe that some people haven't seen Animal House. And that's why it's Xing.
I can't believe any of you have never seen Animal House.
It's again, don't be too young, but if you're college age, for sure you need to see it.
Sure.
Yeah, because it probably still aptly describes what college is like.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I'm guessing college hasn't changed since you and I or out of there. Did you ever go to a toga party?
Did I go? I threw toga.
Okay,
parties.
I've also, believe it or not, been to a toga party. You can go to those things and not drink. It's called pledging, and you have to serve all the actives. But you have to be there. So there's that. The next thing is Xing.
outside, nerd.
Well, I look good in the toga.
Go outside, nerd.
I hadn't washed that sheet in like 3 months, but
Dork.
and then I put it back on the bed after I was done because college.
Oh, dude.
Because college, there's
Dude.
also like 25 pizza
Dude.
boxes stacked up in our
No.
closet. It's college, dude.
No, Lonzo.
Oh, did you keep your place nice and clean and tidy?
Yes. Yes, because
See, you need to play the nerd thing for yourself because it's not me.
Quick, ladies, when you were in college, did you prefer the bro with a floor covered in dirty sheets and beer bottles or the guy that went to IKEA?
Okay, by the way, I never said those things you did. That was Ollie specific. The next thing that's Xing is Miro.
Ooh, fun. I don't know why he's Xing. Did he show up?
All right. So
expecting him to show
Tony
up?
Khan put something out and said that he and Keith Lee were supposed to show up to something, but they won't be able to be there. And Miro said, I've been injured since September. You'd think he would know that.
Is Miro playing the bad guy or is Tony losing his touch?
All right, I got inside information. I got sources that
Hashtag
say
sources?
that your dorm room didn't look that way.
Who the hell? No.
he looks and now he's angry. All right, the next thing that's Xing is GTA 6.
GTA Florida, man. I can't wait. Here's the fun part. 3-4 weeks ago, I jumped back into GTA 5 online. A couple of buddies of mine we're all playing it. And I came to the realization we're like 7-8 months away from GTA 6 coming out, which means I decided to start grinding away on a game that's 12 years old 8 months before the new one comes out.
And the new one will have nothing to do with the one that you're playing because it's like in a different setting, right? So,
well, all of the GTA games are in different settings, but they all reference
do
each
they?
other.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So, like right now, there's one where if you drive over the street, one of the NPCs on the side will be like, "That's it, I'm moving to Vice City." Like
Okay,
they
all
maybe
right.
reference each other, but they're not necessarily.
They're all in the same world. That makes sense. So GTA 6 is Xing because a Rockstar has put out a thing. All their employees are to come back and get to work now, which is making people think that the game is going to be out pretty soon, that they're putting the finalized touches on it. And finally, the last thing that's Xing, the last thing we have time for is Sting.
Final match coming up on Sunday in Greensboro, North Carolina. I'll tell you right now, the fiance has already been informed. Do not make plans on Sunday night. There's no way I'm not watching this. There's no way.
Pretty tempted to buy it. Good
It's
shot that I do. Yeah,
Sting.
it's Sting, my favorite wrestler of all time.
There's no way I'm not watching this. No, not a chance. Sting and friend of the show, Darby Allin.
Nope.
Y'all, have a great weekend. Thank you for hanging out with us. Do not drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. Thank you for being here. We'll see you back here next Monday. We'll try again.
Yeah, we're actually here on Monday. So, yeah.
I know. I had to realize. I'm like, did we get another 3-day weekend? We don't, jerks. See you back here Monday on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate. Yeah! My dorm room was clean, Sean, predominantly because I live with Phil Cleveland, my brave brother, who was a freaking clean freak.
I would like to believe Sean's version of
I
it.
believe Sean's version.
Because you get awful angry, like you've been like for the last 4 hours about that. So that makes me think there might be some truth to it. In the end, I don't care. It's college. I mean, that's and from what I could tell, I wouldn't know myself, but girls didn't seem to care.
Some girls didn't seem to care.
I didn't really go out of my
Quality girls.
dorm room a whole lot. I did go to the fraternity house because I was required to.
We have more training to do.
I'm gonna go see if I got enough points to get something. Odie's got a backpack. He's got an Odyssey backpack that he got given. That thing looks sweet. I wouldn't mind having that. We have a store where you get given points by other employees. I've never given Rob any. I don't think he's ever given me any because I don't know how. You gotta look and see. I'll give you some today. You might deserve it. Whoa. We just got a flyby by stinking geese. I mean, they were just
I hate them. I hate them. All right, guys.
I had a Jurassic Park moment.
Aw. I'm out. Y'all have a lovely weekend. I forgot my camera's over here now. I don't have to look at the computer anymore.
Yeah, you blocked the TV, so you just got this thing coming out of your head the entire time. Yeah, but you got that. You get the blue things coming out of your head, like the entire time. So I don't know. You have to look at it and see if you're okay with the blue thing.
We're out. Have a great weekend. Don't drink and drive. See you later. You're all great people. Tell your friends about us. Love you long time. Goodbye.
You killed the logo by putting your head.